above us, right into the stardust. I'm coming home, I'm coming home. 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 I'm coming home, I'm coming home.
All too familiar with pain, all too familiar with pride. I've been on my knees 6, but gotten up 7 times. It was never even a question of is it gonna be mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. I've been watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever.
The waters won't take me, the highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of
The
time.
deepest waters won't take me, the highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
I'm taking it by the reins, I'm taking it to the sky. I'm never taking a break, I'm only taking what's mine. You say it's taking too long, I'm taking that as a sign. It's not a matter of faith, just a matter of time. Never look back, if something's standing in my way, I always push back. When something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever.
The waters won't take me, the highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of
The
time.
deepest waters won't take me, the highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
The deepest waters won't take me, the highest fall won't break me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Tonight on Countdown to Green. Recap all the action from the Lone Star State. We prepare for tonight's playoff finale. And we take a look at how you're racing at home. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
Hello and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green and we are getting ready for the race right before the finals in Phoenix. I'm your host Camille Salazar-Hadaway. Joining me as always, we have Alan Cavana, we have Blake McCandless. How are you two doing? Are you hyped for this final race before, well, the finals?
Yo, so hyped, Camille. Look, 3 spots in the Championship 4 are still available. That's 3 shots at getting $100,000 live at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That will all be determined tonight, Blake. I can't think of a bigger race that we've had in years in terms of how much is on the line for these playoff drivers. So many spots still available, Blake. And it all goes down on a great racetrack.
And I think that's the biggest thing, Alan. Years past, we've had a lot of winners coming into the penultimate race, so it's often been 1 or 2 spots amongst many of the drivers still looking to get in the playoffs, but we only have 1 winner. So that's 9 drivers who have an opportunity to join the Championship 4 in a couple of weeks at a track that's very technical, very tough. It's going to be tough for these drivers to handle. I'm excited to see what the challenge is going to be for them tonight.
Yes, in the challenge indeed. Although one driver's already locked in, we got to talk about the rest that still need to work hard in order to lock themselves in. But before we do that, we have to take a look back at Texas and see how it went down there. Blake,
again, this is one of the more compelling races that we've had in the 2024 season, Alan. Looking at how this race played out, first off, there were no cautions in this race, so it was going to play out strategy-wise. Didn't know this at the beginning, but the biggest thing here that happened, Alan, that many of these drivers were telling us about is how much this track changed, how they were being challenged by searching for grip all around the racetrack all night long.
It really is. We're watching some of the best in the world because look at how close the racing was all night right here. I mean, that's Steven Wilson right there. I mean, we saw 2x2 racing, if not more, throughout the night. And as you mentioned, no cautions, which made this into a strategy race. Look at that, 5 different lanes of racing at Texas. I mean, just a beautiful racetrack, opportunities for them. And it all came down to this, Blake, when you hit it and how you did it.
You can see Steven Wilson pitting again. Many playoff drivers, including the red banner you see there for Vicente Salas, were running up towards the front of the field. Bobby Zielinski, that number 18 car, you can see getting aggressive, making some moves around Michael Cozy Jr. We talked about how strategy was important. Cozy tried to go a little bit long, and you could see the speed difference between drivers who took those tires at a certain time and those who waited a little bit. Dylan Duval was a fixture at the front of the field throughout the night as well. Got a little bit cloudy here at one point, but again, allowed this race to play out naturally. It was all about who brought the speed. It were several of the playoff drivers, albeit we almost had an incident there between Tucker Minter and Vicente Salas, but at the end of the day, nobody had anything for Steven Wilson, who for the 2nd straight year locks into the Championship 4 and will try to go back-to-back in eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series championships.
Still your defending champion.
And, well, taken out of this race, I know Wilson was the story, but how about the driver that was running in 2nd and has finished runner-up, it seems to him, about 4 or 5 times already at this point? Parker White, he has yet to score that elusive first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series victory, and no doubt about it, Steven Wilson, when we look at that championship race in a couple weeks at Homestead Miami Speedway, he's no doubt the favorite, but if there's somebody that can upset him, I think it's going to be that Williams Esports car. By the way, Williams Esports car won the finale of Homestead Miami Speedway last year. Donovan Strauss. Could Parker White find the speed? If he gets through tonight, he's in a great point position coming in. Could he get the job done and upset Steven Wilson for this championship?
And one of the teams we thought could easily be a contender to upset Steven Wilson was William Byron Esports, but they have not shown up in the playoffs like they should. Tucker Minter needed one of the best comebacks we've ever seen in this series at Texas to go from 34th to 4th. If he's able to secure a spot in the Championship 4, it'll go back to this Texas race. His teammate, though, Nick Ottinger, former champion, one of the best we have, these first 2 races of the playoff, they just haven't gone his way. And as we mentioned, it's not like he got caught up in a crash in Texas. This was, from the start of the race, a setup, a speed issue. All the performance they had in the regular season, William Byron Esports looking for that right now in the playoffs. They need a big race tonight if they want to get one, if not both, of their cars in that championship 4. A big deal for them tonight.
That it is. We'll see if they can figure it out. They have 2 drivers that are capable of doing it tonight, but they're both on the outside looking in. This is how we approach this penultimate race at Phoenix, the final race of the first round of the playoffs. Parker White, Graham Bull, and Bobby Zielinski, all with, I don't want to say comfortable. 13 points is a decent lead, but certainly not anything to rest about here going into this race. Salas and Minter and Lowe, cases can be made that there are points available for them to perhaps point their way in. Falkingham, Duvall, Ottinger, pretty much simple, right? They have to win to try and join the right-hand side of that screen for Steven Wilson to join him in the Championship 4 and at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina in 3 weeks' time. But as far as relegation is concerned, keeping your spot in the top 20 in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Basically, only one driver can rest easy right now, and that is Casey Kerwin, 117 above the cut line. Top 20 will retain their spots, are eligible to be picked in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series next season. And if you're on the right-hand side of your screen, I would say Taylor Hurst, Colin Bowden on down. You might be racing with me in a month.
And don't forget the team standings. We talked about William Byron Esports, how they haven't really shown up in the playoffs quite yet. That is reflecting now in the team standings. Look who is now on top. M80, backed by Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson's shoulders must be hurting because this is all him right here. He has his team on top of the standings. William Byron Esports now 1 behind there. They have to step up their game. We'll see what Steven Wilson can do in these next 2 races to keep M80 on top. To get a team championship and a driver championship would be an awesome way to go out.
I mean, to do it back to back, that'd be pretty cool, right? That'd be pretty cool. But speaking of the man himself, Steven Wilson, well, what we like to do here in Countdown to Green, we like to check in with the drivers, and it only felt right to check in with Steven Wilson, Alan.
Yeah, he's the champ. He's still the defending champ, and he's the only one who knows he has the shot at doing it again. So we talked to him. We asked him what it is like to be that only driver that has his spot secure in the Championship 4.
Yeah, it's really good to be locked in, have a race buffer as well, so where I can just chill during Phoenix and then really hit Homestead testing hard. It feels good to be able to have the opportunity to only be the second guy to go back-to-back. It's kind of crazy. The series has been around for 15 years now, and only one guy, Ray, has been able to win more than one. So hopefully be the second guy to do that, make history. Obviously been 3 for 3 with these live events, so it feels good to go back, and obviously I'll have a leg up hopefully on some other guys who may have not had that opportunity.
Plenty to think about in a few weeks, but there is still that race tonight. I know he said he'd be chill, but there's team standings to think about. A lot still on the line, so we asked him his approach tonight at Phoenix.
I'm going to race Phoenix like any other race. I still want to win. I still want to make the other guys fight hard tonight when it comes to racing with me, racing around me. I still want to keep the momentum I've had all season. I don't want to just consider it an off race. I'm still going to run some laps, with the team. I have ran some laps with the team already, getting prepared, put some qualifying testing in, and just try to hit my qualifying lap again. That's where the races are easily changeable, is where you start. So if you start in the back, it's way tougher than starting up front and already having that track position. So the goal is just to roll that momentum into Phoenix, keep it up, keep it going, and then hopefully keep that going all the way to Homestead and Championship.
And now the real benefit of winning that Texas race, he gets weeks of worry-free preparation for that championship race. We see this on Sundays in the Cup Series. You win early in a round, you can start thinking about that championship. We asked him, the championship preparation, how is Steven Wilson using these few weeks coming up? Here's what he told us.
Yeah, I feel like my approach from year 1 to year 2 is pretty different. Year 1 I was a new thing for everybody, first off, and then I didn't really know what to expect myself in a championship race, having to race 2 of my setup teammates out of the 3 guys I was racing against. So it was just a tough deal there. One of them got it done. Casey got it done that first year, but the second year it came back. New track, obviously, with it being Homestead instead of Phoenix, which I preferred. That helped preparation as well, but just having a whole team behind me last year, it was just me on the setup team going for that championship. So, you have guys who are working for you, working with you. You don't have any teammates who will race you harder. You'll have to race harder around because they're always the hardest ones, in my opinion, to race in these races. So it was nice to have that. And then as well, just the preparation. Last year, I kind of took it more as like a business trip. The first year, I was just enjoying Charlotte, enjoying the scenery, the whole event. And last year, I was way more locked in, I feel like, on the race, and felt better going into it. And just more positive mindset heading into the whole thing versus the first year where I was just, having fun, kind of just chilling, relaxed. But this year I'll go back, I'll be locked in on the race and really focus hard on that.
I love that, a business trip to Charlotte, because he's got plenty of business to handle, but he's also the champion of our eNASCAR iRacing College Series. So is he going to come back and defend that title as well? Here's the word from Steven Wilson.
Yeah, I'm excited about the College Series coming back. One final season for me. Last season I'll be competing, and last season for me in classes, so it should be fun. Last year coming off the championship, which was also at Homestead along with Coke. That's just a track that I've been good at. It's exciting to once again race there for a championship this season. Obviously the season last year didn't go quite as well as my first championship around, where I was 4 for 4 in the races, but the Homestead is just a really good track for me. I'm really excited about the College Series again, running the Xfinity Series, running the trucks. It's different than what we do in the Coke Series every Tuesday or every other Tuesday with the next gen, so it's just something different guys to race as well. And then those races are usually pretty fun and pretty clean for the most part, so we actually get some green flag time. And I know there's a couple of new guys who I'll be racing who are setup teammates, actually. Parker White, Wyatt Tinsley will both be there, so a couple Coke Series guys who will have to fight again for a championship, and that should be fun.
All the kid does is win. Let's call him the trophy collector, guys. I mean, he's getting the eNASCAR, the Coke Series trophies, he's getting the College Series trophies, and he just wants more.
And he just
he's
does
the
it.
leader right now.
He does it so well. He's all laid back in that chair. But speaking of Steven Wilson and having it handled, the College Series, like he mentioned, he's hoping to get it for the last time this year. And speaking of which, it is getting to that time where the College Series will be starting soon. This, of course, is where anyone has a chance to get a piece of the $60,000 scholarship. Take a look at more information.
College is back in session. That means the eNASCAR College iRacing Series presented by Playfly Esports is about to return for the 2024-2025 academic year. 9 unique venues, 2 different vehicles, and once again, over $60,000 in scholarships are on the line. Oh yeah, so are 2 spots in the second round of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing Series. The cars and trucks have a new sense of school spirit installed for every competitor this year. That's not to say there won't be at least one chance to let creativity flow, but it's all about that school representation this year. Last season, it was the Hawkeye, Steven Wilson, scoring top honors among his collegiate peers. This season, it could be a Bulldog, a Shark, a Chanticleer, or it could even be you. Visit eNASCAR.com and apply today. The first bell rings at Daytona in September.
Yes, it could be you at home. Not us, unfortunately, Alan. We're out of this one. But
I might still have eligibility. You never know. I'll check.
But it's a really cool opportunity to get in on that $60,000 scholarships that they're offering. Pretty cool, Blake.
It is very cool. There's been a lot of great competition over the couple of years that this has been a venture, so excited to see that iRacing, that eNASCAR is bringing this back. We've seen a lot of great racing, as Steven Wilson had mentioned, and, we may even see some rivalries start to brew. We saw it a little bit last year, Michigan, Ohio State, a couple different drivers, Matthew Zwack represented in that, but make sure you scan that QR code. You can get involved. There's a time attack that will allow you to qualify for the first race. Scan that QR code, and maybe we can see this kind of play out. You could see there are some of our production team. The Ball State Butler rivalry is already going really strong.
I feel like it also goes, you at home may not hear the production, but that rivalry goes strong behind the scenes too.
We hear it in our ears.
Yeah,
I'll side with
sure to put
Cisco
that there.
because it's a bulldog, but it's not a running bulldog. That's my final say on it.
Well, you know what? Scan that QR code and get in on the college series because that's lots of fun. I wish I had that when I was around. Well, man.
Yeah.
What a missed opportunity, Camille. But speaking of which, what's not a missed opportunity is my favorite segment of the show where we get to check in with your rigs at home. This is Logitech Show Us Your Rigs, where we get the clean layout or sometimes chaotic layouts that you have at home. Our first one here, this is pretty sweet. Alan?
I love it. Look at how old school this is. Down in the corner is the 1987 Winston photo. Google the story behind it, and look out, kids. You don't want to look too close at that photo. But I love all the memorabilia on the right there. A lot of old school stuff. And it's just a nice setup in the corner, right? You have a nice big house, and you have this in the corner. You can go race, and nice pedals. Good stuff there.
Props to you, Dylan. Let's get to our next one from Eric. Oh, the angle of this shot kind of confused me at the beginning. But you got to fit in that whole rig.
Well, you got to fit it in. This is a VR setup here, so you don't have the monitor display. Again, would be interesting to know the muscle memory that may take place when you got the VR headset on. You're trying to type something on the keyboard as well. May not be convenient or easy. I haven't had a VR setup before, but nevertheless, I know a lot of drivers, especially on the roadside, that absolutely love it. I'm sure Eric does as well.
And our next one is from Matthew, and Matthew's in the rig. Is this the first? Well, no, we've seen some drivers in the rig before, but it's been a while.
Yeah, this is cool. This is legit. Obviously, the VR setup. That's a sprint car seat. We've seen seats from regular cars. We're wondering what are all these carless seats out there, but this is from a sprint car. A lot of cool memorabilia on the walls, a lot of old school, new school mixed. Look, whatever it takes, but I really like that seat setup. It gives you that feel of racing. It's really hugging around you.
Gotta love that feel, that hug. And this one here is Sub-090 sending us this rig, Blake.
All right, I could see a couple cables and hearing that this is yet another VR rig that is being used here, despite the fact you see some of the monitors there. And again, we're really VR heavy in this Show Us Your Rig segment. I like it. We're exposing that VR. Yes, it's a great way. I know the technology's been around iRacing for a number of years. They've continued to improve upon it, and a lot of the sim racers out there are embracing it.
Hey, you don't need VR, though. This is all the simple setup you need. A little desktop. They call this Blake-esque. I'll let you chime in, Blake. But this is a real nice Blake-esque desktop here. Looks like a Jimmy Johnson fan. Who else to be a fan of than Jimmy Johnson? I mean, 7 times. So great setup there. You don't need much. You just got to be here with us and participate.
And very fitting of that Logitech wheel as well. Remember, if you want to show us your rigs at home, be sure to show us your rigs on social media using the hashtag eNASCAR, tagging iRacing and eNASCAR GG as well. Speaking of rigs, well, last race for Texas, the drivers at Spire, well, they raced at Spire headquarters and they got these sweet shoes. Look at this.
That is fantastic.
Awesome.
That's almost worth the price of admission there. That really cool setup. Again, this was part of Family Day at Spire Motorsports at their brand new shop. They used to be the old KBM shop. They brought Casey and Malik in to compete at Texas Motor Speedway. And again, what a great setup. It seems like they were really embraced there. But golly, man, those shoes, that's priceless almost right there, Alan. I know you're a big shoe guy. You got a great shoe game going. I know you'd be able to rock those pretty well.
Oh yeah, that was worth the trip to Mooresville. And look, again, props to these guys. Whenever you're not at your home setup, to be able to go out there and race and compete like they did. Again, that trophy case in the background, they got to fill that up. That was for the old Kyle Busch Motorsports. They're trying to fill that at Spire, especially with the eNASCAR side as well. Fill up that trophy case one day. Maybe the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Championship trophy can go in there. That'd be really cool.
Ooh, that would be really cool indeed. I'm gonna figure out how to get some of those shoes. But first, Blake, we go through the season. There's some moments in the season that we don't highlight until we get a lot of them, and we save them for a particular segment that I know you're a fan of. Really, dude.
Yep, we got to take a look back. Every couple races, there's a couple of mistakes that even the best sim racers in the world will make, and we'll go all the way through. But some of them don't make it on the track. You know, this is back at Chicago. We did everything in person. Alan, you were there. Garrett's going for an interview, but decides to just kind of walk off on his own. Nick Ottinger doesn't know where he's going. Tucker's confused. Everybody's looking around like, Garrett, come on, man. You gotta stick with the group, right? Stay behind the teacher, single file line. Come on now. So Garrett Mays, he looks over at Ray Smith. Really, dude, come on, man. You gotta stick with the group, man. You can't just be wandering around all by yourself. However, we are going to get to some racing, I promise. This is Indianapolis Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Remember, Daniel Falkingham won this race, but this kind of shook things up. These two guys, they were battling towards the back of the field. They were battling off of pit road, and, well, that ended up bringing out a caution that completely changed the complexion of this race. One, you got to stay beneath the white line. Brad Keselowski found that out the hard way at Indy. So did Chase Elliott. But you got to sort things out. You cannot go too wide on the access road Indy. Come on, guys. You got to be smart enough to figure that out. Kwame, Tyler, really, dude, you got to know a little bit better than that. All right, Pocono Raceway. We'll fast forward here. Again, crazy ending to this race. You know, sometimes in sim racing, you got to commit. You see a little bit of smoke, you either got to lift or you got to try to plow through it and hope you're right. And Colin Keister made the wrong decision. Goes up to the top lane, he's making a bunch of moves, and then all of a sudden the entire field comes apart right in front of him. Sometimes you guess right, sometimes you guess wrong, but when you guess wrong, you might find yourself on Really Dude. All right, now we're fast forwarding to Michigan, and this is a big kind of Really Dude moment here. We got a wreck involving a playoff contender in Vicente Salas, who, by the way, amazing save that he had. He got turned 90 degrees sideways, but Taylor Hurst not competitive in the points at this juncture. Vicente Salas just minding his own business in the middle. He's trying to give Steven Wilson a push. 1, 2, 3. How about 4 shots in the door from somebody, and then eventually he spins them out? I mean, at a certain point, you got to figure it out. Come on, Taylor Hurst. Really, dude, you can't be doing that. Know your place. Don't race the playoff competitors like this. They got a lot on the line. Speaking of a lot on the line, how about Texas Motor Speedway? Michael Cozy Jr. looking to try and win his first race. He's trying to stay above the top 20 in the points. His spotter, I spoke to a spotter earlier this week. He told him he had the first pit stall. When you start last, that's where you start in iRacing, and he completely misses it. There it is. The WinVal 8820 logo. It's right there on the pit stall, Michael. It's the first one. He figures it out about halfway down pit road. He's got to back up, and then he realizes, oh, wait, if I back up too much, I get disqualified out of the race. So he's got to go back on the track, go all the way back around. Some mistakes you can't be making, Cozy. I love you, man, but come on. Really, dude? I know that you're better than that. And by the way, we have a little bit of a special Really Dude here on this segment. NASCAR Cup Series race at Darlington Raceway. Background of the shot, Brad Keselowski's getting interviewed. You'll see our favorite man there, Alan Cavana. He's giving a nice little interview. He's going around the driver intro stage and doing all the important things here. Hey! We just happened to notice one thing, Alan, that when you're in the background of this NBC shot and Kim Kuhn, got to make sure you hold on to the binder and all the notes that you're taking on. You can't be dropping it in the background, Alan.
I would never. I would. That is a false accusation right there.
Oh my gosh. I like how
that was a surprise.
We're such a family here, Alan. Sometimes we have to roast you on the show too, and I'm glad we got to do that with Really Dude. But you know, we got to get down to business because it is almost time for Phoenix, and to help us understand the track better, we have Novak here to take us through it.
What's up, everybody? Zach Novak here, driver the number 5 Portillo's and Coke Zero Sugar Chevrolet. We're at Phoenix for the penultimate race of the 2024 season, so let me show you around. Down there in 3 and 4, this middle line kind of works pretty well, actually. Not so much when you're by yourself. There's not as much pace to be found there, but holding people off, it's very valuable and really helps get a good run off down that dog leg. Now again, like I said, the bottom is the best part here to save your tires as much as possible, so you want to get right down on this yellow line. On both ends, it really helps save the tires. in turn 1, there's a bit more of a diamond that you would do to be able to get a super straight and fast exit off turn 2. You can also move up like I did right there and run more of a middle line, or even all the way up pretty much at the wall. There's quite a bit of grip up there, as there is in real life. And you can just really use any line you want in turn 1 to search around for some grip. I'll run way up on the wall right here. A little free, but I'm going to have a big run off the corner. And a very straight drive off. And then down here, you don't want to hold it out as wide, but you can run about up here if necessary. So that's a couple laps around Phoenix. Hopefully this helps a little bit, just kind of, gauge how the racing is going to be and enjoy the race.
Alan, there are 3 spots that drivers really want to get into, and I feel like the trends that we see at Phoenix may help them out a bit. So take us through.
Let's check them out, because we've been to Phoenix a bunch of times, especially in the Coke series here. It's one of the tracks we've been to a lot. The 11th eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race at Phoenix. The second time it has been a race in the playoffs, and we just heard of all the different spots on this track you can have trouble. 6 drivers have earned their first series win at Phoenix. That includes active drivers Nick Ottinger, Bobby Zielinski, Keegan Leahy, former champions, 2 of those 3 former champions. So we'll see what Phoenix can produce tonight. Maybe a surprise. We shall see. 3 of the 2024 playoff drivers have won at Phoenix previously. This is important. Nick Ottinger 12 years ago, a long time. Bobby Zielinski in 2017. And Tucker Minter just last year when he was a rookie, trying to do that again to get in one of those final 4 spots for the championship race. Only one driver has won multiple races at Phoenix. Keegan Leahy did it in 2018, and then the 2022 race, when it was the final race of the season, it's actually kind of back-to-back, because they didn't go to Phoenix in between all those years. So Keegan Leahy maybe knows something about this. We'll see what he's got tonight. Not having the best season, but maybe Keegan can pull one out. A Phoenix race winner has never started worse than 11. That's why qualifying so important. As if there weren't enough on the line already, winners have an average starting position of 4th. The first 2 rows, you saw Keegan Leahy there in the 45. Tucker Minter last year in the 2nd row. Start up front, have success. That is the key to a good night, at least starting out wise in Phoenix. You got to be good in qualifying. So much on the line tonight.
There's a lot on the line, and a lot on the line for us. And when I mean us, I mean me and Alan. Because we had drivers' picks. It's the final night where our picks actually go to our points. And you know what, Blake? I feel sorry for you. So why don't you tell us your pick first?
I'm going to stick with my bracket here. Bobby Zielinski has been very strong every time this series has come to Phoenix. I'm taking Bobby Z tonight. He makes championship 4 yet again.
All right, well, look, I've been the leader all season just about, so I'm going to reveal my pick and go with the driver who has had a lot of success here. And come on, show him who it is. You know who it is, Steven Wilson. Even though he doesn't have a lot on the line, he's winning again tonight.
All right, well, I wanted to switch it up a bit. So I'm going with the strategic driver who was able to handle this track last year. I'm going with Tucker Minter. I believe that he'll be able to do it. So we're going to see. But Blake, I believe production has told you some important news for us to know for
I think you're going to be happy. Tucker Minter is on pole for tonight, so maybe he can follow up his win from a year ago to make the championship 4 in a must-win situation. He's starting in the best spot to do it.
All right, well, hopefully for my case, and you know what? Best of luck to all the drivers. It has truly been an amazing season, and I can't wait to see the results in Phoenix tonight and next time when we see you in Charlotte at the live finals. But first, let's go through Phoenix. Thank you so much for watching, and from all of us here at Countdown to Green, we'll see you next time. Stick around for the race.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
This is the make or break moment.
Oh my goodness!
Not just for the day, but for the years to come. This is where a race isn't just about the race. It's about the doors it can open.
That kid is amazing.
The number of fans wearing your number. This is the chance to carve your name into the history books. This is the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
They tried to drag me down, but look who's laughing now. Look who's laughing now. I believe in something that I can't explain. The wind is calling out my name. Let it rain on me. You know I put in the hours, and I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm gonna take what's mine for the world to see. You gotta take the lead. You gotta feel the fire. That's all I see, and I still believe. You gotta take the lead. Take the lead, take the lead, take the lead.
To $500,000 races into the Grand Canyon State for the final race in the round of 10. From iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Race 3 of the 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoffs. Well, as always, we're happy that you're with us on a Tuesday night, and we are one to go until we know the 4 drivers who will fight for that championship in a couple of weeks' time at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. As always, happy you're with us, as mentioned, alongside Blake McCandless. My name is Evan Pasoko, and Blake, tonight 9 drivers fighting for the 3 remaining spots in that winner-take-all finale.
I know we mentioned it during Countdown to Green, but so much opportunity for all of these drivers based off the fact that we didn't have a playoff winner at Michigan, and we had Steven Wilson lock in a couple of weeks ago, but that still leaves 3 open slots as it stands for now for points. So there's more positions available in this race than we've had in many years, and it puts all the pressure on so many drivers, especially 3 of whom are pretty much in must-win situations that they're going to have to be aggressive, both in trying to find speed in the car and in strategy to try to get the win tonight.
Yeah, Nick Ottinger, one of those drivers who's made the Champ 4 in 2 of his previous 4 playoff appearances. He'll need a win tonight if he wants to get there as well. Before we get tonight's race started, again, we'll hand things off to iRacing's Keenan Kusin to introduce you to the Playoff 10.
Thank you and welcome everyone to the final race before the 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship. 10 drivers have separated themselves from the pack and enter this final stretch with the chance of being an eNASCAR champion, the chance to be $100,000 richer, and the chance of reaching sim racing immortality. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoff contenders. Your 2023 and regular season champion not only bagged 3 wins, but dominated the stat sheets across the board. With an average finish just outside of 6, can anyone stop him from going back-to-back? From Iowa City, Iowa, in the number 10 M80 Mustang, it's Steven Wilson. The road course ace grabbed his 2 wins in Chicago and across the pond at Brands Hatch. An eNASCAR playoff veteran, he's done being the bridesmaid. In the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota from Fresno, California, it's Bobby Z, Bobby Zelensky. bringing a legend of motorsport into eNASCAR playoff contention for the first time in the number 11 Toyota for Tony Kanaan Esports. Punching his ticket into the playoffs in Darlington, can he go all the way to Homestead? From Temecula, California, it's Vicente Salas. Bringing it home in the Music City, earned his way into the playoffs, but with 5 podiums on the year, he's a face used to being at the front of the field. For William Byron Esports in the number 97 Chevrolet Camaro from Warrenton, Virginia, it's Tucker Minter. Taking his win for the season at his home race in Charlotte, he is trying to take PS Plus competition all the way to a championship in their inaugural season. From Gastonia, North Carolina, in the number 89, it's Garrett Lowe. Punching his ticket at the final race, going from 6th to 1st at the final restart, the Tricky Triangle Pocono. From Houston, Texas, driving the number 48 Toyota for Kansas City Pioneers, it's Graham Bolin. With one of the more recent and most popular wins of the year at Indianapolis, he completes the set of Joe Gibbs Racing drivers in the eNASCAR playoffs. Now a Coke Series winner. Can he become a Coke Series champion? From Jonesport, Maine, in the number 54 Toyota, it's Daniel Falkingham. The driver of the number 41 Mustang waited a long time to get back into victory lane and was able to get Travis Pastrana and the Nitro Circus Sim Racing team into the playoffs in their first year. Can he take it all the way to Homestead? From Halifax, Nova Scotia, it's Dylan Duval. One of only 2 drivers in the playoffs without a win this season, but a mainstay of the front of the field. Second in regular season points and 4 podiums on the year. Trying to bring eNASCAR glory to Williams Esports from Norwich Walk, Maine, it's Parker White. An eNASCAR staple and your 2020 season champion. Can he get that extra gear to win it all? In the number 25 William Byron Esports Chevrolet from Claremont, North Carolina, it's the Audi boss, Nick Ottinger. Only 4 of these drivers will find themselves racing for a championship in Homestead, but it all gets decided tonight in the desert. Who will walk away a champion and $100,000 richer? We're about to find out as the final eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoff race starts now.
Cars roll off. Let's go down and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. And 2 drivers who enter tonight below the cut line start on the front row. Post hitter tonight is the William Byron Esports number 97 of Tucker Minter. He's alongside the Kanaan Esports number 11 of Vicente Salas. Different story on row 2. 2 drivers who enter tonight above the cut line. It's the Williams Esports 53 of Parker White and the Joe Gibbs Race at 18 of Bobby Zelensky starting in 3rd and 4th. Nick Ottinger with some work to do to advance to a championship for appearance number 3 starts inside of row 3 in his William Byron Esports 25. He's next to Williams Esports' 51 of Donovan Strauss, the highest starting non-playoff competitor. Row number 4, we'll see playoff driver, that is Daniel Falkingham at the Joe Gibbs Racing number 54 car. To his outside, the Front Row Motorsports number 38 of Michael Cozy Jr. Inside of row number 5, the number 90 PS competition entry of Jordy Lopez starts ahead of a playoff driver, that is the Pioneers number 48 of Graham Bolin.
2 drivers with a great qualifying effort in terms of their season. KHI's Matt Busa will start tonight in the 11th position with Matthew Swag for Nitro Circus. He'll go from the outside of row 6 in 12th. Wyatt Tinsley, your Daytona winner for the Kansas City Pioneers, will line up in 13th. Garrett Maines, FTR Excel, representing that number 12 car, will start in 14th. Casey Kerwin locked his way in to the top 20 in the point standings for Spire Motorsports, who will roll off tonight 15th. And Dylan Duval, must-win scenario for the Nitro Circus number 41, who will start from 16th tonight. Ryan Doucette for the Pittsburgh Knights. It'll be a 17th place start for the number 55 with Femi Olatunbosin. The number 22 for Oxygen Esports will start in 18th. Going from 19th tonight, another driver that could point his way in, but he may need some help starting from 19th. That's Garrett Lowe for BS Plus Competition. And Junior Motorsports' Caden Honeycutt, the number 8, will roll off tonight from 20th.
That puts us right in the middle of the field, back to row 11. It is the FTRXL eRacing number 14 of Seth the Merchant, lined up next to the Kanani Sports number 66 car of Colin Keister. Behind them on row number 12, it is the Oxygen Esports number 5 of Zach Novak and the Junior Motorsports number 88 of Briar LaPrade. Lucky row 13. Inside is the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Malik Gray. To his outside, the Latardi Sports number 40 car of Dylan Olt. Back on row 14, it is the KHI machine, the 29 of Jimmy Mullis, and the lowest starter of your playoff grid, but he's already locked in. That's Steven Wilson in the M80 number 10 car. And back on row 15 through your top 30, it's a pair of e-racer cars, the 42 of Tyler Garrett to the inside, and the 69 of Ray Alfalla to the outside.
Starting in 31st tonight, the other M80 machine looking for those team points is Ryan Luza. 32nd for 2311 is Keegan Leahy. 33rd starter tonight will be the number 17 RFK Racing Ford of Colin Bowden, and Cody Bias for the Pittsburgh Knights will start his number 27 car in 34th. Derek Bordeaux goes from 35th for FRM. The other 2311 entry and Michael Guest will go from 36th tonight. Then it'll be a pair of Team Dillon Esports cars on row 19, and Taylor Hurst and Jonathan Dulaney, with Kwame Scott and Timothy Holmes returning to the series here tonight for Latardi Sports and RFK will go from 39th and 40th. It didn't come easy last year for Tucker Minter, who ended up securing his way into the Championship 4 with a win last year, but it starts easy tonight from pole position. Tucker, what's it going to take to end up at the front here after it's all said and done?
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell. I mean, definitely going to be a pretty crazy race here. Dirty Air is going to be pretty wild, but we've got a pretty hot track here out in Phoenix. So we may have some lines moving around. Just going to be all about keeping up with the strategy, trying to keep track position, and hopefully at the end we have a shot.
All right, Tucker, we'll let you go ahead and get after it. Best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
It's the second pole of 2024 for Tucker Minter, hoping it leads to race win number 2 on the season. Of course, you mentioned in dramatic fashion he won here at Phoenix last year to punch his way to the Championship 4. Blake, he hopes to do the same here tonight as we get set for a 120-lap contest in which we will finalize the 4 drivers who will fight for the 2024 eNASCAR Championship in a couple of weeks' time at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We're happy you've been with us all season long and happy that you're with us tonight from Phoenix. 1 race left to go in the round of 10. Who makes it into the Championship 4 and who goes home? Let's go racing at Phoenix. Already 3 wide, several rows deep. They fanned out through the dog leg. They hold it through 1 and 2. Up front, side by side for the race lead. Minter, the control car, still on the bottom, but Vicente Salas maybe right there with him as lap number 1 comes to a close.
Saw a lot of cars kind of go to the outside in 1 and 2. I think that line will come in throughout, but I think at this point, talked about the track being hot, saving those tires. I don't think that matters. You heard it from Tucker Minter first. Clean air going to be so important. You got to fight hard to be able to take it. So imagine that this battle amongst your top 2 is going to be pretty fierce, because whoever gets that clean air is going to have a huge advantage. It was Salas last time and maybe Tucker Minter at the stripe, but it's the 11 that will be the first across it as they battle to try and get that so important clean air.
Good on-board look there with Caden Honeycutt, middle of the field. You can see how crazy it is throughout as the battle up front continues. At a caution early on lap number 3. Trouble in turns 1 and 2. Colin Bowden may be the car involved in the 17. The timing of that yellow going to be important because Vicente Salas had a nose in front of Tucker Minter, had yet to clear him all the way. But the timing of the yellow will give sole possession of that top spot to the 11 car as we slow down for the first, Blake, of what may be many times tonight looking at the track history here in Phoenix.
Like you said, very, very important depending on when that came out, when that caution, as they go back to the timing lines, even in iRacing, and it looks like it was Salas who was in front. You can see Zielinski was able to maintain his spot in 4th, but we'll take another look at it here. This is off of turn 4, bowed into the stripe. Going to take kind of the long way around in the dog leg, and in fact, he gets past, and I don't think that that's the number 3, Jonathan Delaney, knew that Bowden was out there. Yeah, you could see, just takes the dog leg and then doesn't even know that the 17 car is out there.
Bowden was so far up in, again, you mentioned the long way around. That's kind of the correct way, I suppose, if you're not cutting the dog leg. And look how far away that 3 car is from the 17, just completely loses them, and was following that 27 up the road of Cody Bias and drove right through that 17 machine to Colin Bowden, who gets turned around. The 3 also gets some damage. He ended up against the fence in turn number 1, but relatively minor damage for those cars involved. Blake in the early yellow gives us a chance to take a look at our eNASCAR race analysis.
In 120 laps here at Phoenix Raceway tonight. Pit lane is a little bit interesting here with the fact that since the reconfiguration, it's a little bit longer in terms of the amount of time that you lose, anywhere from 30 to 35 seconds with a 4-tire stop, of which there are 3 sets available on pit road. Again, if we get some 20, 30 lap runs, that could play into factor as well. And that fuel window, or pit window, going to be a little bit longer than halfway here tonight based off of what I'm hearing for these drivers. So we'll be able to go a little bit past that distance, but they will not be able to go all 120 laps tonight.
And there's no better time than now to stay up with the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR. You can sign up today by scanning the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Stay in the loop with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Of course, this Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship coming to a close. When that does end, the eNASCAR season doesn't. College Series coming up, the Contender Series shortly thereafter. So there's all kinds of stuff happening in the world of eNASCAR. Also interesting with this reconfiguration, of course, the pace car leaves the field off of turn number 2. They head all the way down what was once the front stretch, now the back straightaway, and then head into the tighter turns 3 and 4 complex with Salas, the white Toyota, to the inside as the control car for the first time tonight. Now, he took the lead from the outside of the front row. Let's see if Tucker Minter can best him back. Challenge will be the 11, dictates this restart. It's a good one. Green flag in the air, and Salas quick to clear for the race lead.
And again, you may be wondering why Minter wasn't able to do that. That's because Salas can go anytime he wants in the restart zone. Now that we're having restarts, the initial start of the race, it's the flagman that brings out the green flag. So Minter didn't get that advantage. That's why having that position going into that caution flag going to be so important for Salas. We'll see if Minter can bounce back, but right now I'm sure Salas is going to try to enjoy any bit of clean air that he can get.
On board look there with Dylan Duvall midfield as he cuts the dog leg and sees some 3-wide action up the road with the green 54 car of Daniel Falkenham in the middle of all of it as your race leaders try to get some separation for the first time tonight. Duvall looking for a race win here tonight to get his way into the championship 4. There's the 3-wide we were talking about. It's Cozy on the bottom with 2 playoff cars to his outside. Falkenham center and Nick Ottinger up on the 3rd lane.
I think this is a perfect example of not only do you have great drivers up here, it takes really good drivers to be really good at Phoenix, but this is a result of all the time and hours that go into this race. And, well, I think it's pretty common sense that if you're in the playoffs and you have a shot at $100,000, the time and effort that you're going to put into preparation for this race is going to be a little bit higher than somebody who may not be fighting for a championship here. So, of course, we have the best drivers in the playoffs for a reason, but I think added on top of that, at a technical place like this that requires a lot of repetition before being fast here, that's why you see a lot of red up in the top 10. In fact, 6 already scored in the top 10 with Nick Ottinger getting up into the 9th position. But Bolin, Duvall, not out of it yet, but they have to make some hay pretty quickly if they want to try and challenge up here.
And to your point, those playoff drivers highlighted in red on timing and scoring. You can also see those red indicators on the cars as well. Look for the red windshield banners, the red roof numbers, and the red spoilers to differentiate those playoff cars from the non-playoff drivers. There's a look for the iRacing drone floating above the 8-car Arcaded Honeycutt. Little bit of space. They're down to only 2-wide midfield. They were 3-wide right here off of the restart. So 2 by 2 by 2 This battle is inside of the high teens, but you can see this line traces all the way up to the leader. They're getting some real estate, but not a lot of separation. Everybody's still within a tenth or two to every single car around them.
And this is why Phoenix can be so difficult. You can see Femi Olot running a little bit of the high side, but when cars are stuck side by side, it is really hard to gain an advantage. This back straightaway is long enough that if you're trailing another car, side draft is enough to pull them back. And then even here in turns 3 and 4, that groove probably going to continue to move into that second, perhaps even third lane as the run goes on. So it becomes a track that's already difficult to try and make that move on the bottom. You have to have a really good car, but especially here at the beginning of the race, it's easy to get gridlocked, get stuck with that driver side by side with you, because both lanes here are even when each driver is side by side here.
And there's a good look at those Williams cars as they ride in line, third into fourth position. Parker White, of course, fighting to maintain his top 4 spot in the playoff standings. Advanced to the championship 4. His teammate Donovan Strauss, not a playoff competitor, but I'm sure would love to help his teammate in some way. You compare this race to in the NASCAR Cup Series, Blake, the Atlantas, the Daytonas, and some pivotal races where teammates can work with you. At a track like this, at Phoenix, non-super speedway, what can Strauss realistically do to help his teammate White out? They seem to be positioned ideally for trying to work together.
Well, it's one of those things you're not going to go up and really be able to push, but I think we're having a teammate right behind you can be very helpful. As look who's behind Parker White. You see Bobby Zielinski there. Strauss can make life a little bit harder for Bobby Zielinski to try and get around. If anything, the way you work with your teammate here is to just get out of their way. Don't challenge them. Don't hang on their right rear, go side by side, all those things. And maybe that's a courtesy that Strauss is able to extend to Parker White, as well as if Zielinski is able to make that move and get side by side with him, make that job difficult on the 18 to try and get by. That's the best way that you could probably help your teammate here, because bump drafting, all that stuff's not really going to come into effect here.
And we talk about the playoff drivers up front. Well, it is not smooth sailing for all of them, but again, there's a caveat on that. Garrett Lowe is in a struggling position right now, 26, but Stephen Wilson doesn't really matter. He will stay pinned to the top of those live points on the right side of your screen. He is in no matter what. Now, here's the interesting thing. As we run with Vicente Salas as your race leader, Salas came into tonight as the 5th placed driver in the points. So if he leapfrogs, who does that kick out? Right now, the odd man out is Graham Bolin the 48 machine of Bolin, 2 points back as Zielinski for the bubble. The 53, the 18, the 48, Blake, they were all in to, I'd say, a relatively healthy margin to that effect. But with the 11 leading, if anybody else below them in points, you get a similar situation. He leapfrogs, it kicks you all down the line, and the 48 car goes from coming into tonight 17 points to the good to right now running 2 points in the negative, only 18 laps in.
And this is why this is such a difficult thing to try and guess right. I thought Parker White, 19 on the cut line, he's sitting pretty coming in, and he's 3rd right now, and he's only 10 above. And, looking right at that cut line, the problem with Zielinski, too, is that he's in 5th right now. There's not a whole lot of points to gain there, but look at Graham Bolin. He's in 11th right now. So he has a lot of ground to continue to make up points. Zielinski, he goes any higher, he might be battling for the lead anyway. So if you're Graham Bolin, I don't feel so bad right now, but this just goes to show you how much Salas, who, again, he was 5th coming into tonight, but just having that winner has shaken things up so much already.
And with Tucker Minter running in 2nd, Minter entered tonight behind Salas in the points as well. So even if Minter were to get to the top spot, that would not materially change anything for White, Bolin, or Zielinski. They would still be on the odd side out. There's a good look at the 80 car, Ryan Luzes. He is center of the field right now. The driver out of Cypress, Texas, tucked up behind the bumper of the number 88 car in front of him as they battle right now for 24th and 25th. But the SeatGeek Ford Mustang trying to make some moves, up 6 spots already and looking for more.
Yeah, a couple of former series champions out here looking to try and make some moves early. As well, if speaking of making moves, you want to come out here to Phoenix or, well, just about any number of tracks that are available on the iRacing service. If you love what you're seeing here, you can log on and start your journey today in your iRacing career. And, of course, Not only with that, there's so much going on in the world of eNASCAR and the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as well. You can find the schedule, standings, and much more for this series and everything going on the service on iRacing.com/eNASCAR.
I've got that link open on my other screen, referencing points and results and all kinds of good stuff. So stay in the loop with us and make sure you follow us all the way through this championship. Talking about some fun paint schemes, and we've seen the Portillo's colors once and now seen them again with the number 5 of Zach Novak. Happy to have them as a presenting sponsor of tonight's coverage, and good to see them on Zach Novak's car. The 5 machine also up a few spots. He's gained 5 from the get-go, looking for some more. But again, midfield, you just can't really get away from anybody. He's riding just ahead of Steven Wilson, last week's winner.
It's always tough when we have cars out here. We've had it over the years that have food on them that makes you a little hungry a little bit. And Tillo's machine pretty much doing the same here with Zach Novak, who showed us how to get around this racetrack earlier. We talk about former series champions. He's trying to hold off the defending series champion and Steven Wilson, who, again, didn't have a great qualifying effort, but I'm sure didn't put in as much time to prepare for this race because, again, his fate's already sealed. He's probably already put in, I would guess, a number of laps already for Homestead Miami Speedway in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we talk about that prep time, Blake, and in Countdown to Green, you guys were chatting with Steven Wilson, and Alan had heard from him, oh, trouble, caution in front of these cars right as we were looking at it, smoke and a spin. It's going to be nothing crazy. I think Garrett Maines might have been the car that was sideways middle of the road. Saw smoke right in front of those cars that we were following and thought that was going to be a big mess. Maines and Cozy having a discussion over the radio, so it doesn't take a journalism degree to figure out that something probably happened between those two drivers. We'll wait for the iRacing replay before we cast judgment.
And this was just getting to that part of the run, about 20 green flag laps or so in, where if you were going to start to see some drivers starting to lose the handle on their race cars, maybe starting to break a little bit free, this was going to be that time in the run where that was going to happen. But very quickly, Evan, again, you got to catch the pace car quickly here. It kind of sneaks up on you in terms of getting to pit road here. The rest of the field having to catch Vicente Salas, who, again, took advantage of that clean air. But how important is pit road, getting into your pit stall, out of your pit stall, so important to how this one will play out. But we'll see how this goes off at turn 2. Some contact made in the middle of the corner, and they continue down the backstretch.
A bit of a shot into the turn, and as they get back down to turn 3 and 4, that's Cozy on the inside, Maines on the top side. And comes up a little bit too high. Not sure the 12 could have yielded any more space. Maines very fortunate that they split him high and low to avoid further incident, but the 12 car felt like he was wronged. Here's the perspective of Cozy.
And this is exactly what Phoenix breeds. Two drivers who have likely been side by side for a number of laps. Maybe there's some frustration here, but I kind of agree with you. Maines is pretty much in the wall when they make contact at that point. There's pretty much no further up that he could go. Does a great job saving it. Everybody does a great job avoiding him, so it doesn't end up wrapping up a couple of cars. But if you're Garrett Maines, there not much that you can do in that scenario.
Just about everybody down pit road that time. 5 cars stay out. Vicente Salas, the first car off of pit road. That was despite the fact that he actually overshot the pit box a little bit, had to put it in reverse. It was only about 3/4 of a second lost, and the buffer he had on pit road entry was enough to not cost him a spot. But looks like Salas, Cozy, and Lopez Blake go for 2 tires. And then Minter, White, Strauss, and everybody else who pitted from there on back, with the exception of LaPrade midfield. All those other cars look like they went for 4.
Doesn't really shock me, but we have seen kind of a growing trend in this series that 2 tires, even on this short of a run, has kind of been the go-to in certain cases when we don't get a run that's necessarily that long. And clean air, especially here at Phoenix, so important. That we'll see how that plays out here for Malik Ray, Garrett Lowe, and a couple of other drivers. Again, a few with red banners that have to take a gamble. Garrett Lowe is one of them.
We were just checking in with Garrett Lowe, how far back he was in the field. He'll now restart on the front row with 27-lap-old tires. Again, it is a long trip down the back straightaway till they get to the restart zone. Inside of those boundaries, Malik Ray could restart this race at his discretion for the inside line. Green flag back in the air. Good jump for the 7. He'll clear for P1. And it's going to be Timmy Holmes up the inside of low in a battle for second. But who has got the tires and who makes the moves with them first? 4 wide in a battle for P4.
Oh, somebody got shoved up into the wall. That was Casey Kerwin. One of the JGR machines is loose. That's Daniel Falkingham. It looks like he's going to save it, but the field is not, as caution flag comes out with a couple of interesting gambles up here at the front of the field here, that it may be the SeatGeek machine that we were just talking about a little bit earlier that may be involved in this latest yellow flag in Ryan Luza. But again, a big stack up at the front of the field with a couple of varying strategies. It works out for Malik Ray, at least for the moment.
We'll see how these cautions affect those cars on fresh tires and their ability to utilize the fresh Goodyear Eagles to get through the field. Ryan Luza was the driver involved in that one, but I think we kind of get away with another one. We've had so many close calls to some big pileups. Luza dropped down the running order to P40, but I don't see any damage looking at the SeatGeek machine, so whatever the contact was must not have been too terrible. He restarted kind of midfield 27th spot when we came to the green flag before he was involved in the eventual accident, and let's take a couple looks.
Coming out of the dog leg, going into turn 1, and just a little bit of a stack up here, and just another case. Yeah, Luza kind of checking up with everything. He just gets run into by Taylor Hurst. Watch the bright green number 54, though. He's got the red roof number, and he is drifting the entire corner after contact with Casey Kerwin. Then he's 4 wide off the corner. He gets a shot from Nick Ottinger, and he saves it. And again, depending on when that caution timed out, he may have gained some of those spots back. But again, the damage is done, losing all that track position for Daniel Falkingham.
I was about to say the same thing as you. When he caught that car, we saw the eventual wreck, and then he lost about another 8 spots. So I think Falkingham will get some of those back. But to your point, damage done. He'll drop into the mid-teens. Well, I mentioned that the eNASCAR College Series will be coming back shortly as the eNASCAR calendar rolls on.
College is back in session. That means the eNASCAR College iRacing Series presented by Playfly Esports is about to return for the 2024-2025 academic year. 9 unique venues, 2 different vehicles, and once again, over $60,000 in scholarships are on the line. Oh yeah, so are 2 spots in the second round of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing Series. The cars and trucks have a new sense of school spirit installed for every competitor this year. That's not to say there won't be at least one chance to let creativity flow, but it's all about that school representation this year. Last season, it was the Hawkeye, Steven Wilson, scoring top honors among his collegiate peers. This season, it could be a Bulldog, a Shark, a Chanticleer, or it could even be you. Visit eNASCAR.com and apply today. The first bell rings at Daytona in September.
Excited for that series to come back as we are back under green flag conditions. Malik Ray rockets back out in front of the field. 4 wide, mid-pack. They didn't get through turns 1 and 2 last time. Can they all play nice this time through?
It's going to be the question. 3 and 4 wide here. This is when it gets really tight off of turn 2 as they go down into 3. Vicente Salas again may not be in a position where he can point his way in. A couple of the playoff drivers have some tall tasks on their hands to make up some ground here. In fact, you can see 3 of them nose to tail: Zielinski, Bolin, and Daniel Falkingham. Even Dylan Duvall, Steven Wilson, Nick Ottinger. So they're somewhat intermittently connected throughout the field, but right now Zielinski kind of in charge of all those cars. Again, you mentioned the split strategy and cars that took 2 or took 4 tires. He's one of those that took 4, and even Maine's trying to make up some ground as Luza spins again on the backstretch.
Second time tonight, the SeatGeek Ford Mustang is involved. This time he does not escape without damage. Looked like there was some significant front-end damage on that car, and I also saw that black and yellow 27 of Cody Bias in that accident. Both of those cars restarted back in the 30s and find themselves involved, and I was surprised that yellow didn't come out sooner for the bobbling 88 car of Briar LaPrade. He was all over the racetrack getting swallowed up inside of the top 10, and it was getting dicey amongst the leaders. But another caution keeps us at bay. Vicente Salas on fresh rubber has climbed up to third. But Malik Ray on a strategy call continues to keep the number 7 car in P1. Can he and Timmy Holmes hang on?
Take a break and enjoy the sounds of Portillo's.
Order number 3, come see me.
Portillo's, it always sounds good.
Pre-order your copy today. When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
We now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
After the 26-week grind, 16 gather. Heroes, hopefuls, hot shots, hot heads. Their demeanor may vary. Their determination does not. Fortune brought them to this moment. Now, it's up to them. The NASCAR playoffs continue at Watkins Glen on USA.
Green flag back in the air for the 7 up front. It's another good jump from Malik Ray, but here comes Garrett Lowe on the bottom, trying to hang on. Salas making big moves. The 11 car first on fresh tires. He got rights when he was on pit road. He's up to P2.
How much longer can Ray hang on? Again, with each heat cycle, this works in Malik Ray's favor. The problem is for all the drivers who didn't pit that time, which again, Malik Ray was on pit road, Timmy Holmes and Garrett Lowe were not. The problem is fuel mileage is going to work against them. It's about 95, 98 laps, I've been told, on fuel mileage. They're going to have to pit at some point, but out front, Vicente going for the lead. It looks like Malik Ray, those 2 tires could only hang on for so long once we got green, and Salas not only benefited by getting the lead, but the fact that Ray's in second, and he's probably going to do a little bit of his work for him to try and hold off the rest of the field behind him.
Yeah, he would appreciate that because Salas on 2 tires, Parker White in third took 4. That's going to help him catch up. Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar and Portillo's. Fill up with Portillo's unrivaled Chicago street food. Order an Italian beef sandwich dipped in our secretly spiced gravy, topped with heart gardenia peppers, and don't forget to add a side of crinkle-cut fries and an ice-cold Coke Zero Sugar. Order now at Portillos.com. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. By McConey Setup Shop. Our setups, your victories. and by Sunoco. From fueling your favorite NASCAR teams to filling up at the pump, Sunoco is trusted to help vehicles perform at their peak. Sunoco, performance is what we do. There's a good look in the Hornets' nest as the midfield sees the no tires, 2 tires, and 4 tires mingling amongst each other in a spinner. 29 car. Mullis around middle of the pack. That one's going to collect several. The 45 is one of them.
And that is something about this backstretch at Phoenix. There is nowhere to go once everybody is stuck in the middle there because of the pit road wall on the inside. It makes it really difficult. It kind of funnels almost like a Dover, if you will, where there's just nowhere to go, and you can see the KHI machine just sideways in front of the entire field. And a couple of other cars that get piled in. Saw Michael Guest got a little bit of damage out of that as well. Let's see how it all unfolds. It's off of turn 2. 3 wide between 2 championship competitors, Duvall and Garrett Lowe, and Lowe just has his nose out there, not clear. And again, nowhere for the rest of the field to go.
Lowe's night has been up and down, was struggling, stayed out, ended up back there in the mid-pack after a strategy cycle, and now is going to be forced to pit road to get damage repairs on the nose of that car. I'm curious how extensive that damage is going to be and if it'll keep the 89 in the box. He's in for 4 tires. He's out, so no extended time in the pit box. I would take that to be a good sign that there is not any repairs available for that car because the field's still down in turn number 1, Blake. I'd imagine if he had to get some required repairs or even optional ones, he would have stayed down there with the gap. So he's right off pit road. Seems to be okay as he'll jump back into the action.
Good observation there, as we'll chat really quickly with Vicente Salas right now. Vicente, you came in beneath the cut line, but you're sitting in a great spot right now. You can pretty much make it on fuel to the end of the scheduled distance. How are you feeling right now sitting P1 and hopefully having a little bit of clean air to look forward to?
Definitely feeling good. I think we got pretty lucky there at the beginning, rolling the top on Tucker for that caution to come out and give us the lead and, some control of this race. Unfortunately, that other yellow, tossed some strategy at us. So, luckily we've made it back up to the lead. So, we just got to stay locked in. We've won here the last 2 years in the Contender Series in the Xfinity car. So hoping to just translate that success and everything we did in those races to this one so we can be in Charlotte for the Final Four.
As far as when we get, or if we get a long run, I know I've heard with so many drivers, it's a hot track. Tires wear a lot. How do you feel about the long run speed that you potentially have in the CRA Toyota?
I definitely feel confident about our speed. This 11 Canon Esports Camry has been absolutely rolling after lap 30 in our testing. So, just hoping to kind of keep that going, take care of the tires. But, regardless of how this race ends, we've given it our all up to this point. That's not going to change. So I can't thank my Dead Zone Racing guys enough. Bolton, Platt, Houston Hammer, Caden Honeycutt, everybody that works on this car. So we'll just give them everything we got and hope we end up on the right side of it.
All right, we'll see how it continues to work for Vicente Salas. And Evan, that is not something I wanted to hear. Great track position, desperate situation in terms of the points, and feels like he has a very fast race car that gets better over the course of the run. That is not something I think that any of these other teams wanted to hear.
And it's going to be interesting because the other cars who took 2 tires with him, Michael Cozy Jr., about P6, he's kind of null and void for any track position gain. Jordy Lopez took 2. He's down in 8th. Brian LaPrade took 2. He's still back there in the midfield, P15. So the next 3 cars lined up behind him, Parker White, Tucker Mincher, Donovan Strauss, all cars who decided to go for 4 tires while they were on to pit road. Will that make life difficult for Salas? Will those 4 tires be better? And can they challenge that number 11 ERA Toyota for the race lead? This time by, going to be 46 laps down, still 74 to go as we inch towards the halfway point in what has been a caution-filled opening of this race. Salas, again, will be in control. He'll dictate the start of the race and look for the jump, then watch for the 4 tires around him to try and catch him down. Headed to the restart zone and looking for the green flag. They're all chasing Vicente Salas from P1. Through the gears up to speed. Let's go with the Logitech G onboard camera with Ottinger.
Well, he is in the middle of it right now, and now to the outside line of that 3-wide battle goes Ottinger as in front of them trading some paint. The 14 car is set to Merchant leaning on the 34 at Derek Bordeaux. This is an awfully precarious spot for that playoff driver to be in as Logan's hip checked out of the way back there midfield.
Yeah, a lot going on there is, again, Ottinger hanging really tight on the outside of Casey Kerwin, fighting for his life, but Parker White looks to be a little bit better the last couple of laps than what Salas was able to muster. And again, can Salas keep this clean air? All he needs to do is keep it for another 10 laps or so, and it may be too much for Parker White to try and continue to fight in the dirty air. So if White's going to make this move, he's going to have to make it quickly here.
Couple of cars went high, got into the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. No accordion effect. Now a spinner, top of the screen in the center at 3 and 4. Caution flag is out again. Couple cars spun around. Maybe Mullis and others. DeMerchant slow as well. It may have been that 14 of Seth DeMerchant where this one all started.
So much happened in the midfield. Again, so much of these drivers continuing to fight regardless of their points position, trying to represent themselves and their sponsor. Let's see what happened here. This is Garrett Lowe further back in the field. We mentioned how hard the Nick Ottinger was trying to hold off everybody from that third lane, was kind of coming down and was racing really hard with Casey Kerwin. Ended up being Seth DeMerchant that time that got tagged. Second incident that he's been involved in the next level racing machine. But that's kind of a point there where if you're Ottinger, you're doing everything you can to hang on, but there's 3 cars beneath you, and unfortunately DeMerchant trying to fight in that second lane had nowhere to go. But this opens up a big can of worms in terms of strategy. Do you keep your track position now? Fuel is not going to be much of a concern through the rest of this race, but tires at some point will matter. Was that long enough of a run to make it a concern where maybe you pit now and try to stay out the rest of the race? Or maybe do you pit later and try to stay out now, keep the track position?
Looks like the leaders all going to bypass pit road for the most part now as the restart will bring us close to the lap 60 halfway point. First car in is Jordy Lopez from P16. We mentioned earlier that the eNASCAR College iRacing Series is coming back with another $60,000 in scholarships on the line, and you can scan the QR code on screen now to learn how you can register and get involved. That series has handed out more than $193,000 in scholarship money throughout the 4 seasons that have been completed. And there's a good look at those new and revised school spirit paint schemes that the drivers will be running with this season. Again, that series tends to include both the NASCAR trucks and the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars as well. And we talk about school rivalries in the collegiate level, and we're not talking Georgia, Alabama. We're not talking Duke, UNC. We're talking about the real rivalries. And that is Ball State versus Butler, if you're asking our producers, Drew and Cisco.
Well, again, like I said in Countdown to Green, Butler's close enough. They may not be running Bulldogs, but they're Bulldogs, so I'll give them a pass for that. I'll side with Butler on this side of the equation. I was hoping Gardner-Webb might be represented in some of those B-roll shots, but maybe next year.
I need some UNLV running Rebel representation. I don't know if I've seen any Rebel Red in the series over the course of the season. But again, that is eligible to all members on the iRacing service who are currently enrolled in a Canadian or American higher education institution. Of course, Steven Wilson is a champion in that series. He has indicated that he'll be competing once more, looking to defend his 2 times championship from both the fall of 22 and the 23-24 semester, in which he won the championships representing the University of Iowa. It's always fun when you got a little bit of extra skin in the game, and they're racing for money. The scholarship dollars is big, but when you've got your collegiate colors, Blake, there's a little bit more pride to boot.
Yeah, certainly so. You always take pride in representing your alma mater, and all these drivers do. And it's great to see the mix of sim racers who happen to go to college and college students who happen to fall in love with sim racing. It's a great mix in the series, but focus now is deciding a champion, and we'll see if Vicente Salas or Parker White can take one step closer here on the front row to determining who that's going to be at Homestead Miami Speedway.
No surprise, it's another good jump for the 11 car, and do we see the fight behind now? Here comes the number 97 of Tucker Minter. Started on pole, but has not led a single lap tonight. Trying to edge out in front of the 53 of White in a battle for P2. White going to get the upper hand as they come off of turn number 2 and head down the back straightaway. 3 wide, spinner, midfield, 1 car into the inside wall. Quick caution flag again, and will slow things down and clean up the accident on the back straightaway that involves Michael Cozy Jr.
You know, I kind of, I saw a little bit of what happened earlier between Michael Cozy Jr. and Garrett Maines, and I did take a note on that restart that those 2 drivers were lining up side by side. It's Cozy that ends up involved in this, so I want to take a look at it because I didn't see it from our vantage point up here in the booth, but I can imagine that maybe there was a little bit of payback here just looking at who was involved.
Let's see as they come off of 2, and it's not going to be the 12 Blake, but Cozy was giving like 12 feet to the outside.
Yeah.
I think he was crowding down because he was afraid of that 12 car up there. You talked about the contact they had before. He was yielding so much to Garrett Maines that I think he kind of drove himself into that one a little bit.
Yeah, well, again, it was playing with us in the broadcast booth. We thought that something might happen between those 2, and then, yeah, you could definitely see that I think Cozy knew that they had raced each other hard, that Maines probably didn't appreciate what happened to them earlier and the end result in that, and I think in turn he gave him a lot of space so that nothing would happen, and yeah, eventually that kind of causes a situation where he gets into the car beneath him. But let's go ahead and catch up with Parker White. We've talked to you a number of times here. Again, a lot of restarts here. How tough is it to try and stay focused and also to try and size up Vicente Salas here on these restarts to see if you can find a way to get around him?
Yeah, I think I'm just barely quicker than Vicente. When we got that caution, I think like 2 yellows ago, I was very close to passing him. But yeah, my car feels a lot better than I was expecting, so that's very good. I can roll the top very good on these restarts, so just as long as I can get like decent starts on the outside, I think I'll be fine. And if we can get going a couple laps here, maybe I can have a shot at Vicente.
Well, Parker, you're still sitting in a really good points position regardless if you're able to get that spot. If you're not, does that influence how aggressive you try to get here with the fact that, well, second may be good enough to advance to the championship floor in a couple weeks?
Yeah, definitely. I'm keeping an eye on where Graham and Bobby are, and then obviously I'm right next to Tucker and Vicente, so really what my plan is, if I see Tucker's getting extremely aggressive, like really trying to get by me like a lot, then I'm not going to fight him too hard if he wants to go for it. I'd much rather let Vicente and Tucker go at it than just risk getting myself wrecked. So, like I said, I've just been keeping an eye on where Graham and Bobby are, and as long as they're not too far ahead of me, then I'm not really concerned.
All right, Parker, we appreciate it, and go get him.
Thank you.
And with Salas leading, who came into tonight below the cut line, again, Parker White doing what he needs to do, and that is stay ahead of Bolin and Zelensky. Last time we took a look at this, Blake, the 48 was the odd man out, but you pointed out that there was a lot more potential for Bolin to gain spots than there was for Zelensky. Well, they've met up, and what that means is, as they get set to restart in 6th and 7th, is that advantage has flipped in favor of the 48, and Zelensky now 5 points out.
That's how much has shifted with Salas leading. Again, we were talking about it earlier that Zelensky really had nowhere to go. He was sitting at about 5th at that part of the race. Bolin, meanwhile, has found all that track position. And Zelensky, with the fact that Bolin's running well, 7th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, may not be good enough at this point. Zelensky's going to have to get up there and fight and try to win this race if he wants a shot to advance to the championship floor. Should things hold, again, a lot can happen, not even halfway through this race, so there's still a lot to play out.
Yeah, 1 lap shy of halfway, and that's because Bolin came into tonight 4 points ahead of Zelensky. If we get a new winner, he's got to beat him by 4 positions at minimum in order to make up that difference for the 4th and final spot. The 11 of Salas continuing to make the 2 tires work from the top spot. Green flag in the air again. It's another good jump for the 11, and it's going to give Minter another crack at Parker White for P2. Topside seemingly wins out in the end off of these restarts, and about the 97 doing what he can to fight on the bottom. Clear up top is Parker White, and he's trying to bring his teammate Donovan Strauss with them.
In both the Williams Esports cars really strong at the end of last season, and you mentioned working together. Again, don't know how much can happen here as there's a spin in the back of the field. Derek Bordeaux, Colin Bowden, Keegan Leahy. As the initial contact, at least that we're hearing, may have been between Bordeaux and Colin Bowden on the back straightaway, but it's not the first and may not be the last time that we talk about kind of how this field funnels in off of turn 2. Everybody kind of rises to the wall. We kind of saw the invert of that in that last spin involving Olatin Boson and Cozy. But again, this is often the trouble spot here at Phoenix, off of 2, where everybody's fighting for the same piece of real estate.
A couple cars do come down pit road from the midfield, but the majority continue to stay out after this most recent caution flag that does bridge us past the halfway point in this Phoenix 120. The accident happened in the high teens in this battle between what was the 17 of Bowden and the 34 of Derek Bordeaux. So you've heard of 1738. Let's see what 1734 looks like as they come off of turn number 2. 17 a little bit loose, comes down. Bordeaux just kind of sit in the middle of the road, gets tagged, and then a few more cars pile into that one on the outside. Does not look like, though, Blake, from that angle, any of our playoff drivers in it.
No, it's a tough vantage point to see, and it's tough for, if you're Tyler Gary here, you can see Bowden get a little bit loose. He can't react in time. Gets into the side of the 34 car. A good job here by Zwack missing this one. But again, it's just those little margins, right? You can see it once again, Bowden off the corner. Maybe had a little bit of contact with the 34, and that's what started it. He never really got collected back up. See, Leahy gets tagged by Taylor Hurst from behind. And then Wilson, who, again, he doesn't really have anything to fight for here. He took the gamble and came down and took some tires recently. And this is what he sees out of the M80 machine.
Late cars spinning to the bottom, and he avoids Bordeaux. It looked like Duval ahead of him in the 41 got a piece of it. Didn't see that in the initial look, but Dylan Duval, who's had a bit of a rough night thus far, does get a bit of damage. He and Ottinger in the bottom 20 in the running order will need something serious to turn around for them if they are going to somehow find themselves in the championship 4 in about 57 laps time. Another opportunity for you to scan the QR code on your screen now to get all the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR and stay on track with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. And Blake, we see some races on these shorter tracks, the Iowas of the world, 4, 5 cautions, what have you, and then places here like Phoenix, Richmond, you get into the low double digits. What is it that's so challenging about these tracks that lead to this stop and start nature, which is kind of what we were expecting, admittedly, coming into it?
Well, again, it's one thing when you come to a track like Phoenix, and it's hard to make moves further back in the pack. You have a lot of dirty air going on back there. There's a lot of lanes available, but when you're running that bottom lane, you're running that top lane, they're pretty much even when you're side by side. So it creates a lot of scenarios where you're having to get really aggressive just to make up 1 or 2 spots. And when you pretty much know restarts is going to be the primary window that you have to make up those positions, that's when it goes all awry. Again, when we've had green flag runs, once we get about 10 laps or so, it's rare to find a yellow, but especially on these restarts. We saw it last year at the end of the race, right, with Tucker Minter. Stays out late, gets 3 green-white checkers with no tires, and ends up winning the race. It's just something here in Phoenix that cautions breed other cautions, but once we can get about 10 or 15 laps or so, there's enough separation that we're able to run green flag for a little bit.
And a reminder, if you're just joining us, pace car leaves the field in turn 2. They have to go the full length of this back straightaway before they get to that restart zone that is painted in the centers of turns 3 and 4. Anytime in that zone, the control car can decide to restart the race. It's Salas in control once more. It's another good start for him. But how do the Williams cars play it now? They end up side by side for second.
And you can see just how valuable being that lead car is, that you get such a lead into 1 and 2 as the control car. And this is exactly what you want to see if you're Salas behind in the Williams Esports cars side by side, neither one of them sorting it out. But Parker White right now trying to hold strong in that second lane. But this is exactly what you want to see if you're Vicente Salas, continuing to battle several cars door to door, 2 lanes wide behind you.
Oh, big shot there to the outside, a few rows back as the 3 wide condensed on Zach Novak in the middle, and it spit that 12 of Garrett Maines up to the outside wall. Impressed that he did not lose more track position than he did. And in fact, only ended up dropping it back a half a spot. You saw Bordeaux's yellow Ford Mustang on the background there, a little bit squirrely off of the corner. He hangs on, but midfield here, plenty of 2 and 3 wide racing. Get your heart rate going as up front the leaders are trying to establish some sort of a rhythm. 4 wide for a moment there. Center returns 1 and 2. They're using every single inch of this racetrack.
Yeah, Garrett Maines got another door there from Garrett Lowe, who again, there's a couple of playoff competitors here that are definitely taking liberty with a couple of these guys that they're fighting for a championship, and they're gonna use up these guys a little bit if they think it's necessary to try and have a shot at $100,000. And with all that's on the line, it gets hard to blame some guys if they want to do that. But you can see it pays off for Lowe. He gets out in front. Lowe, or Maines rather, is still getting squeezed up into the wall. This time it's still in that side-by-side battle with that car he was around earlier, and Femi Olot-Boson. Timmy Holmes, who stayed out on those tires in the early portion of the race, he's done a great job with the fresh tires of carving his way back up into the top 20.
That decision to come down at the pit stop about 43 laps ago and to get tires has played out to be the better call. The 4-tire call has been overwhelmingly the most successful one, with one exception, and that is the guy who's leading this race, Vicente Salas. Everybody else who took 2 tires with him has faded in the running order. They have either since pitted and are on a different strategy now entirely, or have fallen outside of the top 20. He is the only person who has really made that 2-tire decision work. And all these stop and starts, Blake, does that help him being at a 2-tire disadvantage, or does that hurt him going up against a guy like who took 4?
Tyler Gary, is he going to be able to save it? Wow, somehow he did. Got a little bit of a shot there from Matthews Wack. He's going to lose about 10 positions, but an incredible job he did getting back on the gas. Again, we know Tyler Gary, he does run some dirt in real life, and he put that to good use right there. Great save, and I'll be honest, that kind of made me forget the question you asked me.
It was a good save. Happy that we didn't get caught with a yellow on that one. We've seen a couple of the automated cautions in this race trigger pretty quick when a car got sideways, but Gary slides, loses a few spots, but keeps it on the racetrack, and we continue on. There's that 97 Minter moving his way through. He continues to ride into number 4 spot. Somebody else who looking for a race win here tonight. He did it a year ago. Won here at Phoenix, locked himself in to the championship 4. Can he do it again? He's under fire from Caden Honeycutt, who's a non-playoff car playing spoiler. Blake, let's take another look at the save on the right-hand side.
A couple drivers in the top 5 looking for their first win. To Merchant up the hill, and then Colin Keister is the one that eventually gets into the wall. That's going into turn 1. So yet another kind of pair of saves there that, well, we didn't get a caution out of it. So these guys, again, a lot of those saves so hard to make, especially in this next-gen car on a flat racetrack. This car is really prone to overcorrecting very easily, but those type of saves show you why these guys are the best in the world at what they do.
Looking at that 22 machine, Femi Olot-Boson trying to drive through the field. He makes a move on Zach Novak for the number 11 position. Got that Portillo's car up and out of the preferred lane as the 22 machine for Oxygen Esports gets on by, and now it's going to be the 5 of Novak fighting with the 7 of Malik Ray. Still plenty of 2 wide. Look in front of these two. That 6 car at Timmy Holmes got used up by the 22. Femi Olot-Boson on a charge. He pitted not that long ago, 49 laps or so, but despite that, he's driving real aggressive off of this restart, and he's passed about a half a dozen cars since we went back green. Well, here's the look we've been waiting for, the big slide into turn 3.
And that's so difficult. Not only is he drifting through the corner, but right before that, he has to correct it, save it from going to the inside wall, then has to correct it back to keep it from going into the outside wall and overcorrecting entirely. Then he gets back in the gas, and unfortunately his right rear tire is going to be heated up, but what a save he just had as we continue with this battle. Up in the top 5, Tucker Minter fighting for his championship life right now, and Caden Honeycutt right behind him. A couple of those drivers that we mentioned that still have yet to visit victory lane in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and trying to find a way to get to the right rear quarter of the 97. But as you can see, even driving in that deep, getting alongside him, Minter's just able to calmly go back to the bottom, get the drive off the corner. That's how difficult it can be to try to pass, and that's not to mention the fact that the track is going through some definite changes at this part of the race.
And for all the chaos we've seen, surprised that we've only had 2 different drivers lead laps in this race. It's Vicente Salas, who's led the lion's share, and Malik Ray, who led a few after the pit cycle earlier in this race. But Salas, still attempting to play spoiler, has been sitting there on the live points, P2, for much of this night. And what that does is it pits those 3 drivers who were in on points coming into tonight, fighting for 2 spots. And as they run now, Parker White and Graham Bolin are outrunning Bobby Zelensky on the racetrack. The 18's odd man out. Was there some smoke that time by the start-finish line? Maybe a little bit more contact. Door banging between Baines again into turn number 1. I don't know if that 12 car's got a magnet on it tonight or what, but every time we see G-Mains, he's mixing it up.
And again, he's just trying to fight to get back in front. He ducks down in front of Jordy Lopez, and it looks like that's a successful move as he's going to go side by side. And again, if you're Bobby Zelensky, Tucker Minter, any of those drivers beneath the cut line, this is what you want to see. 4 wide going into turn 1 with a couple of drivers that are upset. They've been involved in a couple of different things so far tonight. More contact made as Lopez trying to get it done on the apron to pass Garrett Baines. He may look for the crossover. Now he gets a shot from Nick Ottinger, and they're going to go around. Ottinger into the wall. One car is on its lid. It's one of the KHI machines as Garrett Baines spins out. Caution flag is out yet again. And, well, we were just talking about that those drivers beneath the cut line needed the shakeup. This may be exactly what the doctor ordered.
Maybe what they ordered, not for Ottinger, who was one of those drivers below the cut line who needed a shakeup, but not of this magnitude. He is involved. The car that went up and over was the Treetop 62 Abusa, but it was topside down as it skidded all the way, and a quick decision for pit road. A lot of your race leaders coming down pit road. Daniel Falkingham, Dylan Duval, they are going to stay out, both of those drivers needing a win to advance to the championship 4, and the plot thickens as we watch the trouble between the 25 and the 12.
Yeah, well, you can see Ottinger, he was trying to shoot the middle there. Contact made as Baines comes up the racetrack, and then, I mean, poor 62. Matt Busa, absolutely nowhere to go as he gets hit from Wyatt Tinsley. This is on board of Colin Keister's machine, who was involved in an incident a little bit earlier, and just what a absolute shunt into the inside wall as Busa has to slide. And unfortunately for him, the damage may not have been that bad, but he has to take a tow regardless, so he's going to lose a couple of laps.
There's a looking down the back stretch, and poor Busa got flipped so quick, he did not come back down onto all 4 tires at any point, so he had to take a tow to pit road. He'll be assessed a time penalty before that car is allowed to drive off of the pit lane to kind of simulate a recovery time, and that is going to really hurt his race. Surprised though, Blake, again, these pit stops happen so quick because the pace car leaves, headed off of pit road, going into turn 1, and it opens pit road right there in turn 2. So it's a quick decision. Not everybody's all the way caught up, and it was a split call. The top 7 drivers end up staying out. Those top 7 include Daniel Falkingham and Dylan Duval, who are looking for a win to advance to the championship 4. Stephen Wilson in 3rd, he's locked in. Hurst in 4th, Doucette in 5th, non-playoff cars. Then Nick Ottinger needing to win, just involved in the accident. He's P6, and then Seth the Merchant in 7th, one of the non-playoff drivers. Then Salas and White, first 2 cars off of pit road. They took 2 tires. Let's talk to the guy who took none.
All right, one of several drivers here with a red banner and a red spoiler that is looking to try and play spoiler in this one. Must-win situation, Daniel. I know this is a call you feel like he had to make, but how confident are you that you can try and pull this off?
We can recreate some of that Indianapolis magic. I feel pretty confident, but I know we're on the oldest tires up here, but I'm kind of in a spot where, like where I was at, I was not going to win the race, and our simple objective to win, or our simple objective for tonight is to win the race, and this, if we can have a lot of yellow like we've been having this race, we might have a good shot at it, but I figured, why the frig not? I mean, I got nothing to lose, honestly.
You seem pretty fired up, Daniel, and, you know, good time to remind you that Tucker Minter made a similar call last year, ended up working out for him, so maybe some of that luck will carry you with you tonight. We'll see. Best of luck.
Thanks, Blake.
Thus, Daniel Falkenham out in front. Tonight has been a night defined by cars staying out or taking different tire increments. Blake, 35 laps to go feels like a long way for a Daniel Falkenham on 58 lap-old tires to make it work. What do you think of his odds? Duval behind him has got half the amount of tires on his lap. He pitted 28 laps ago.
All depends on the rest of the field. If we can get a couple of yellows back-to-back, Falkingham may be in a great position, but if we don't, I'm glad that he's confident and he's fired up, but I would be pretty nervous if I was the old crew chief right now, because we get a couple of green flag laps. I don't imagine that JGR Toyota is going to last too long up there.
All chips to the center of the table for Daniel Falkenham. Green flag in the air, 35 laps to go from Phoenix. Wilson drives through on the bottom. He will clear Duval for P2. Remember, Wilson already locked in, racing for bragging rights. Behind them, 4 wide, center at turn 2. Do they find the space as it condenses? They'll make it at least halfway down the back straightaway.
And Nick Ottinger on that same strategy didn't get the track position, though, so you could see how quickly no tires is really hurting these drivers. Wilson behind him going to try to make the move on Falkingham. He has nothing to fight for, but he said he wanted to treat this like any other race, so I don't think he's going to show any sympathy here to Daniel Falkingham, who's continuing to hold off the field behind him as Ottinger is still on the top side 4 wide.
Salas had to lift and cut Hurst a break there. The 33 was slow off of the corner. The 11 didn't force the issue. Now Hurst going to get bodied out of the way, courtesy of the 8 car Caden Honeycutt. Still stacking things up 3 wide midfield as the battle for the race lead may be on. Parker White and company slicing through the field on fresh tires. Just in front of this, side by side for the race lead. Here comes White on the bottom alongside Falkenham. Can he break through on the 2 fresh tires? Yes, he can. Parker White back to the lead as they're 5 wide behind them on the right-hand side.
And Jordy Lopez got kicked up the hill. He saves it. They're still somewhat a scattered 5 wide. And now Cozy gets shot up the racetrack into Garrett Lowe, and that's going to warrant a yellow flag, as Cozy had done a great job rebounding after being involved in the incident. He had repaired some of the damage, but he got hit hard. I couldn't see who from getting into turn 1 there, and unfortunately it also collects Garrett Lowe, who got a couple of shots into Cozy there, so might be a little bit of damage on the BS Plus competition machine.
Hey, Michael Cozy apologizing to Garrett Lowe over the radio, saying to the effect that he got basically pushed into there, into the corner. Garrett Lowe's having a no good, very bad night, as it has been nothing but setbacks, it seems, for the 89 machine thus far. And you see Falkenham down pit road, Duval down pit road, 2 of the cars who stayed out, waving the white flag to that strategy, coming down for fresh tires. They will try again. Let's watch what happened. You're looking for that 38 of Cozy in the middle.
And Cozy trying to check up there, yeah, and he gets a pretty vicious shot in the door there from Dylan Ault. He slides up the hill, tags Jordy Lopez as well, and Garrett Lowe trying to escape. It looks like he may have been okay, but gets a little bit more damage on the nose of his number 89 car. So a couple of drivers that are desperate at this point, but that may spell the end for Garrett Lowe. 30 laps for him to try to make that up, and we'll catch up with him for a second here Garrett, what happened there from your perspective?
We're 6 wide, just, I don't know. I'm not allowed to say what I really want to say. It's just, it's incredible that we're racing 6 wide at Phoenix, that's all. Extremely frustrating.
I know it's been a disappointing night for you. I know you've had some good news this week. You started something out this week that's pretty exciting. If you want to share with everybody what that's about.
Yeah, I don't think now's a great time with Blake, but yeah, excited for that opportunity, and we're going to see what we can recover.
All right, Garrett, wish you the best of luck, man.
But as mentioned, been a bit of a rough go thus far for Garrett Lowe and the number 89 machine, as he will look to bounce back into maybe some of the chaos that has turned his race around backwards a couple of times tonight, and maybe his only saving grace if he hopes to pull a rabbit out of the hat and find a ticket to the championship 4 at the end of this race. A lot of playoff drivers with trouble, Blake, but a lot of them have come from below the cut line. Daniel Falkenham, Dylan Duval, Garrett Lowe, Nick Ottinger, all riding outside of the top 20 on track right now. They all entered tonight outside of those top 4 positions in the points. So it has not created much of a swing aside from the storylines we've been talking about, and that continues to be, first it was Vicente Salas, now Parker White leading this race changes the picture because it opens the door back up for the 48 and the 18. They are tied right now. If the 11 car was leading again, they'd be tied for 4th and 5th. Because Parker White was already a top 4 car, look at the 11 to Salas. He drops back down. He's minus 11. And for the first time in a long time tonight, the live points have both Zelensky and Bolin above that red cut line.
So difficult, the back and forth, if you're these drivers that are right on the cut line. Bobby Zelensky, Vicente Salas. The problem with Salas's position right here, he's lost the race lead, and unfortunately Parker White, good track position, I think good enough tires to hold on here. So Salas is going to have to get aggressive. He's going to have to make some moves, and we talked about the fact that those Williams eSports car have kind of been locked at the hip all the way throughout this race. I'm sure Strauss fighting for a win as well, but if there's anything he can do to help his teammate in Parker White, I'm sure it's going to be battling perhaps Steven Wilson, Salas, whoever may be around him.
Is this going to be one of the final restarts of the night? It'll come with 27 laps to go. Steven Wilson, vastly outclassed in the tire category, will restart from second. One of the only drivers still on track who didn't pit at the caution flag 10 laps ago. Green flag in the air, not a big jump for Parker White. He's got the 51, his teammate on his bumper. Look at Caden Honeycutt. Huge crash though behind in the dogleg. Brings out a quick yellow as somebody took a massive wreck to the outside. I think it was Keister who got up in the air.
I think that was the situation. What caught my eye is Derek Bordeaux, who looked like kind of the same situation we saw earlier with Colin Bowden, got out of the way and was kind of right in the outside of the dog leg. I think to just try either let people by or he just didn't want to be part of the chaos. And unfortunately, I think he drives right into that one as somebody got right hooked past the start-finish line. I don't even think they had dipped down in the dog leg yet. But unfortunate situation there. It's Dylan Duval, Michael Cozy Jr., and Cozy gets a shot in the right rear from Keister. Hard shot for Keister. His night's going to be over. And Duval ends up saving it seemingly, but just a unfortunate happening there.
Hey, Duval gets some right front damage again. Could have been worse, but it was a significant shot to the right front of the Nitro Circus Sim Racing Team 41 car. That team, of course, headed up by Travis Pastrana. And as I see the 41 drive around now, the damage looks worse than initially with the contact as he's involved in that one. Blake, you've got Dylan on the radio.
All right, Dylan, I know this is a night that isn't working out to your favor thus far here, but 25 laps to go. I know a lot can happen in this race. Do you have one last card you can pull, one last Hail Mary here?
Well, unfortunately, our Hail Mary right there was to pit with Falkingham when we did, and unfortunately that was our last set, and they just got completely destroyed, and we have a meatball. I think we do actually have minimal damage with the meatball, but realistically, between the spin and
whatever damage we do have, I would say our night's probably done as far as trying to win, but we'll see if we can get the best finish possible for our Nitro Circus team, and hopefully come back next week and maybe win the thing and pull off an upset.
All right, Dylan, well, regardless, we appreciate your time, and congrats on a great season, and we hope that, I don't know, maybe something can happen here at the end.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Another person who's looking to maybe have some of the chaos that has put them on the back foot, bring them back into it. And if you're Parker White up front, Steven Wilson challenging here, I mean, does this play into your favor, Blake? He's obviously on the preferred strategy. White was able to get ahead of all the cars that stayed out, so he doesn't really have anybody challenging on fresh tires. First car with better tires is Falkenham back in 22nd, so Parker White hasn't led up until this most recent run, but Vicente Salas, best car of the night back in P5. Is that too far back with the way these restarts are going?
It may just be, again, it's so difficult to try and make up these positions when the control car just has so much power to how these restarts play out. Being able to launch early, you pretty much have a guaranteed lead down into turn one. So it's really difficult. Third, fourth, fifth on back. It's a really difficult position to be in. As you know, we kind of talked about it on that last restart as well. What Strauss can do not only to try to win, but to try and make life a little bit easier for his teammate in front of him. And with that, that's going to be perhaps getting a little bit of heads up on when Parker White may be going in the restart zone, and also trying to fend off any challenge from behind, which may be coming from not only Salas, but you got to remember Zielinski as well is in that position.
Yeah, those Williams cars have been up and in the conversation all night long. And of course, we'll see if they can cash it in. They ride right now first and third. Can Strauss help his teammate White to secure a spot in the championship four? Live points, Bolin, Zielinski in. Salas, who had led much of this night, is out unless he can claw back. He restarts on the inside of row number 3 in P5. Green flag in the air, 22 to go. Good jump for White, but with the outside being the preferred spot, does Wilson have an advantage when they get up to speed? Here comes Honeycutt into the quarter panel. Wilson's into the outside wall.
Right now, he'll save it. I think at this point, just trying to collect it again. He's got nothing to fight for, and I think Honeycutt knew that and took full advantage of it, getting down into turns 1 and 2. Now he'll be behind White. Tucker Minter's up the hill. He's sideways, and he's going to be able to save it. In fact, he stops right in front of Steven Wilson. So Minter, must-win situation. Looks like he may be out of this one as well.
He got clipped by Olatin Bosin, but it was another spectacular save for the Logitech G machine. Problem is, it drops him way down the running order as well. He's back in 22nd spot as a defending race winner here at Phoenix. 3 wide, just outside of the top 10. It's the black and green 77, Casey Kerwin in the center of it all. But where do the playoff pictures lie? Parker White leads, but Vicente Salas, Blake, has driven from 5th to 3rd. He is on the hunt to capture this race win.
See if he can do it. Malik Ray ducking out of line. Looks like he has plenty of speed to try to get the job done. How about Zach Novak joining the fold as well? We talked about Timmy Holmes kind of taking advantage of his tire strategy. He's worked his way back into a top 10, getting back on the racetrack, and much needed run for him after how his season has gone, but it is all happening well behind your third place runner in Vicente Salas, who has built up a number of car lengths over Caden Honeycutt and a couple drivers battling side by side. So if this continues to play out, it's going to be 3 playoff drivers, or 2 rather, to settle it up here in the top 3.
And there's an on-board look with Temecula, California's Vicente Salas. Came into tonight 13 points behind Zielinski and 17 behind Bolin. Caution will come out again. It means another restart is due on deck. Slow car is the 8 of Caden Honeycutt, who had been making the aggressive moves up front, now finds himself the odd man out. Blake, he was 4th at the start-finish line before that car spun out to bring out the yellow.
This has all the makings of another situation where we saw Honeycutt. He was able to get by. He got a little bit of a door fed to Steven Wilson to be able to make up that spot, and it kind of might be the same situation, just the invert here for Honeycutt, who again was in prime position to get a top 5 finish. Again, had a really strong season, just didn't get that win to lock himself into the playoffs. We'll take a look at it one more time. It's another case of barely being 3 wide there with Novak and Malik Ray, who find themselves up here, and Novak wasn't going to cut any slack. He wasn't going to give him that space when there was just a little bit of a spot there, and fortunately it's enough to send Caden Honeycutt around.
Well, Zach Novak giving us some context as those two discuss things over the radio. Honeycutt asking why he wasn't cut a break, and Zach Novak referencing prior incidents at Indianapolis and Nashville as opportunities where he feels like Honeycutt didn't give him a break. So, Blake, short term, you look back to the restart, Honeycutt kind of used up Steven Wilson, knowing that Wilson doesn't have a lot to fight for, put the car 3 wide, got into the 10, but that incident seems to be more of a long-term memory bank thing, with Novak quick to respond with some receipts.
Well, again, there's short-term memory, there's long-term memory. If there's one thing about drivers, Evan, is that they don't forget, and you got to think this is a long season, many of whom are not in the chase for the championship here. So night's not going well. It's been tough on everybody. I can sure that they're not very happy. They're frustrated. That's going to play into how everybody races each other. But one driver that may not be so frustrated out of Marietta, Georgia. How about Donovan Strauss up here? You'll be side by side with your teammate this time, restarting on the front row. I know he's battling for a championship. You're not, but how aggressive do you get here to try and get yet another Coke Series win?
Yeah, I got to be a good amount aggressive here. I got Vicente behind me, and I know he needs to win, and Parker's in right now in points, so I feel like I got to be aggressive, but obviously I'm going to try and help Parker and get us a 1-2 here for all of our guys at Williams. It's fighting for a team championship too, so I'm just going to, I don't know, we're going to see how this restart plays out, and whatever happens, happens.
All right, Donnie, thanks for talking to us.
Sure.
We saw Salas go 5th to 3rd on that restart. Of course, for Parker White in an interesting spot, Blake, he kind of has this de facto rear gunner there in Donovan Strauss, who's been in tow all night long. But remember, Parker White does not need to win this race to advance. So Salas likely will be the instigator in any of this. If you're Parker White, if you get an aggressive 11 car knocking at your door, do you let him go for the sake of you can still advance with a P2, whereas you know Salas is going to have to win this race or it doesn't matter?
I don't think anybody's going to let anybody go at this point. Again, if you're Strauss, I think you're cognizant of what's going on everything around you, but you kind of heard it straight from him, is that he knows that Vicente's behind him. He has to hold him off, and that in turn is going to help his teammate. The one thing, if you're Salas, though, if you can time this restart well with how things have been going, who knows, if you time it just perfect, maybe you have a shot to try and make a move, but you got to do it quickly. Also have to be aware of the fact that Bobby Zielinski, we haven't really talked about him on the front couple of rows, but here he is in the inside of row 3, so anything happens up front here, there's only 2 playoff drivers in the top 5 right now. He can pounce on any mistake as well.
Zielinski and Bolin currently tied for what would be 3rd and 4th in the standings. If Salas can find a way to get to the lead, they'd be tied for the last spot in and out. Green flag in the air for the 53 of Parker White. It's another good jump. The 11 of Salas hangs on the quarter panel of the 51, but look at the 5 of Novak. He'll go to the outside. Strauss getting split 3 wide in a battle for P2.
Great drive that Novak had on the high side. There's their 4 wide. Zwack, Maines, Ray, they all kind of accordion together side by side, but they're able to get into the corner. Now Maines gets a shot from Malik Ray. He saves it. LaPrade is sliding as well. Now they'll be 4 wide. Question is, how long can they hold it together? And can Strauss or Novak, anybody else, mount to charge before this may come unraveled?
Still a lot ugly, 4 wide, a couple of rows deep in the center of the corner. LaPrade gets away from some of it in the 45 of Michael Guest.
is bouncing back and forth. Mid-pack chaos on the bottom, battle for the race win on the top. The 11, Salas, lost the battle for second. He cannot afford to lose this battle for third. And Zach Novak trying to spoil the party topside. Look at the 11, forcing that 5 up and out of the groove. Desperately doing what he can to clear him. He does for the moment. Clear for third. Does Novak pay him back? He does. Oh, they're going to touch. Contact behind. Caution will fly as Salas got moved by Novak in a payback bump for P3.
And about the best thing happened for Vicente. One that wasn't a caution. Yeah, they're obviously Salas isn't happy, but you got to put that aside right now. You're chasing something Novak's not. But a great stroke of luck there that as soon as he gets tagged by Novak, the caution comes out, so he retains his spot in third. If there's no caution there, he loses all those spots. So he actually got lucky. But I think that's one thing that Novak said, you're not going to do that to me. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're battling for a championship. He thought the door was unwarranted there from Salas. And we know Novak, again, he's somebody that will race about as clean as anybody. You think about Keegan Leahy, Zach Novak side by side for a number of laps, battling it out for a championship. He feels like he's earned his respect out here, and he wasn't going to take that from Salas, who, again, is doing it in desperation. I don't really blame Salas either.
And through all the chaos, I didn't even look to see who was involved in the actual caution flag. So we wind that back. Honeycutt has been forcing some aggressive 2-3 wide moves. That was a 4 wide attempt on the 36. And it looks like the 97 involved in that one as well. So much opportunity for Minter tonight, and it has not been a good night. Let's watch this battle for third back. Again, Salas needs to clear the 5. So he doors him up the racetrack to clear him. But watch Novak. Instantly starts hunting him down. You knew something was coming as they went to 3 cautions out there, and then it sends the 11 for a big slide. The timing of the yellow is going to give Vicente Salas P3 back. It means that he will start next to Zach Novak. Under the yellow, drove up next to the 5 of Novak. Didn't wreck him, but delivered a message, and that's when Novak responded over the radio saying that I'm not going to be driven like that, and cautioning the 11 that Salas has more to lose than Novak does. Of course, Novak, a non-playoff car. Blake, they're going to be side by side on row number 2. The Williams cars side by side on the front row, and less than 10 laps to go.
Well, that's one of the cases where, again, I watch a lot of short track racing, and kind of the saying is that if you are going to get into somebody, which I don't think there's any question, Salas wanted to use up Novak so that they wouldn't have to battle side by side and give himself a shot. If you're going to get into somebody like that, you want to make sure you get away, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to get away enough to where Novak had the opportunity to respond in that. But also, does that influence how you race him here? I mean, Novak's kind of shown that, well, if you're going to race me like that, I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to put up with that. So if you're Salas again and you're in the same situation, do you change? How that situation would unfold, who knows? But again, we're talking about a lot of stuff that's happening behind your race leader. At the end of the day, if you're not going to win, if you're in Salas's position, it's probably all going to be for naught at this point. So with how well Zielinski's running and Graham Bolin kind of maintaining where he's at right now. So, again, 7 laps. We've seen a lot of green-white checkered restarts here in the past. Still so much can happen. Whatever we think it stands right now could totally flip on its head by the time we get to the end of this field.
Yeah, it looked like that aggressive move by Salas trying to go to the inside of Strauss, get P2 quick, would have worked out, but it put them 3 wide. And what that did was hurt him, because that 3 wide slowed all 3 of those cars down and allowed Parker White to get away. So the 11 needs to get these passes done while somehow at the same time not getting caught up in the process of trying to make those passes. He needs to nail a restart. Could be one of the final ones tonight, coming to 6 laps to go in this Phoenix 120. Parker White, control car on the bottom, going to look to get the jump on the 11 of Salas, who needs to win to advance. Green flag in the air. The Williams cars lockstep with each other as they get up to speed and head down to turn 1.
Great start for White on the outside. Salas has the opportunity, though, perhaps to try and get into second. You see a couple of the JGR Toyotas hanging tough on the outside. A couple of cars may have gotten to the wall off at turn 2, but so far so good.
And both Williams cars now clear for first and second all night long. The top side has been better on these restarts. It'll benefit that 6 car. It'll benefit the 54 in these mid-pack battles that we're watching, but it is also going to benefit Novak in the battle for third over Salas. The 11 at a clear disadvantage, getting desperate. They touch again, headed down the back straightaway. What can Salas do as he sees the golden ticket driving away, looking for 4 laps to go?
How about Femi Olot-Bosen? He can play a factor in this thing as well. He's had a season that he would like to forget, but what a way to stamp it off here with a potential top 5. Maybe he can find a couple of more spots here, all taking place well behind Parker White. You can see the focus. Salas knows what he has to do, but every lap that ticks by, it's going to be next to hard or impossible to try and run down Parker White, especially with Donovan Strauss and his teammate right behind him.
And now Salas likely needed another restart, because even if he could get by Novak this corner, Parker White has pulled out to a massive 0.8 of a second advantage. I don't think it's within grasp if it ends on this run to the end. Salas, Novak, they continue to fight for third on back, but it's popsicle sticks in the air and 2 laps to go for race leader Parker White.
We're going to go 3 wide here for that third position. Salas looks like he may have Novak clear with Olot-Bosen to his inside. That's all going to happen well behind your race leader, who looks as if he's just a couple of laps away. He's been so close so many times. He doesn't need the win to advance, but what a statement this would be for Parker White to try and win a championship. He's got 1 more lap to try and lock his ticket to Miami.
And that's the key right there, is points has been the name of the game for Parker White. Wrecking behind the leaders. White flag in the air, though. This race is official. Parker White points his way into these playoffs. It has enough points to get to the championship 4, but he's going to do it with a statement. First race win of 2024. Parker White wins at Phoenix and will fight for an eNASCAR championship in 2024. Quick glance at the leaderboard. The late wreck does not involve any of the drivers in the bubble battle. You see Caden Honeycutt damaged as he tries to limp that car home. And the congratulations rain in from teammates and fellow competitors alike, as Parker White will advance to the championship 4 and fight for an eNASCAR world title for Williams Esports this season. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And just out of frame to the right is his teammate Donovan Strauss. I think a group effort and a well-deserved double burnout tonight on the start-finish line here at Phoenix. Those 2 cars work together all night long, and it is mission accomplished as Parker White will fight for the title. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race, and there were many of them. In a race that was dominated early by Vicente Salas, Parker White cycled through to the race lead with about 34 laps to go in this race, and he had to nail 1 final restart, Blake, to keep that white number 11 car behind him at bay.
So important when the strategy worked out that he got the race lead. He was able to pass several cars on older tires and gave him the opportunity to just go out and do something that for him is very simple. Launch in the restart, execute. He saw the 2 drivers side by side behind him, and that is all he needed. A good race car, good track position, clean air, and finally can wrap what has been a crazy story for him. So many times he has finished second or third in this series, and finally able to bookend it with a win, and a statement win at that, to launch himself right into the championship conversation with Steven Wilson.
And it was no looking back from there. We watched Salas try desperately, eventually did get around Novak for third, but again, it needed to be a win. And in the end, Parker White collects his first career eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series win, and in his first career playoff performance, will punch his ticket to a first career championship 4. It is a historic night for the driver of the number 53 Chevrolet. And again, those shots tell the story. He did it on speed, he did it on merit, but it was a true team effort with Donovan Strauss lockstep with him throughout all of it. What a show between those two. And again, the 53 car, one fun thing about Phoenix Raceway here on the iRacing service, that's right, he drove it all the way to victory lane in that number 53 car. Let's transition to the Sunoco post-race report. Blake, I'll hand things off to you, and we'll chat with our top finishers.
Finally catching up after a race win. Parker White, I know we've mentioned it time and time again when we've talked on this show, that win was coming. It finally happens tonight at Phoenix. How does it feel to not only be a winner, but the fact that you're locked in to a championship appearance?
Yeah, I mean, to win this race, it means so much to me. I was good on points in the championship 4, and when I was talking to you earlier, I was like, yeah, I'm good with just riding here, just letting Tucker Vicente win. But I knew both of them were going to be a very big threat in the championship 4. So really, just the execution all races there. I executed qualifying very well. I was able to start up front, and just from there, staying on the bottom on the restarts was very important. Just keeping it all the way down at the inside, just getting as much spots as I could. And I was just able to play that all race, and eventually came down to that restart where Vicente started on the outside, I was on the inside. I was just able to get by him, and luckily it went green long enough for me to get the lead. And from there, it was really just no mistakes, just eyes forward and just focus on winning the race.
I know you're a great example of a kid out there who was watching on television when this series was on television and saw it and said, I want to be doing that someday. Now you have the opportunity to battle for a championship and $100,000. Could you have ever imagined back then when you were sitting there watching this series that you would be in this position?
No, absolutely not. When I started watching this series, I'm like, there's absolutely no way I'm ever going to be racing in this series. And then my first year last year, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be in the playoffs. And even at the start of this year, my season was starting very good, and I'm like, maybe I'll make the playoffs. I made the playoffs, and now I'm going to be going to Charlotte to race for a championship. So I really could not be more excited to be in this position right now.
Well, we'll have a couple of drivers flying a number of miles. You'll be coming in from Maine, but Parker White, we look forward to seeing you at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And congratulations on your first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series win and becoming a member of the Championship 4.
Thank you, Blake.
I'm sure Tricia, the official mom of eNASCAR, is going wild out there in the chat. As we continue on the Sunoco post-race report, we'll catch up with, well, it's another Williams Esports driver. Max points for the duo in both Parker White and Donovan Strauss, who we talked to you a little bit before we went back green there about how you're going to race your teammate. You raced hard, come up just a little bit shy, but I know you have a knack for turning things on late in the year. You won the championship finale last year being out of the playoffs, but what does it say to have a strong run like this, even not being a playoff contender?
I was frustrated last year, and I'm honestly frustrated again that we can perform so well in the last 4 races, and then for some reason we just can't win one of the first 14 races. But I mean, regardless, me and Parker did a hell of a job. We raced in the same voice channel, and we worked really well together all night, so obviously, you know, I knew his point situation, and I was going hard for the win at the end, but when you're in dirty air there, and it's hard to actually get to somebody and complete a pass here. So I was giving it all I had, but I'm happy to get Williams. I think this is our first 1-2 ever, and, you know, I can't thank all of our team management for bringing me and Parker on for another year, but then bringing Parker on. I mean, we're going to go fight for a team championship and a driver's championship, so it's been a hell of a year, and I'm going to support Parker all I can at Homestead on the back end things as well.
All right, we'll look forward to it. But again, congratulations on P2 tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Great showing for Williams Esports. They have 2 drivers represented on the Sunoco post-race report. as we catch up here with a driver who came up short of victory lane tonight, ends in P3. Vicente, I know you drove your heart out. Where did things go wrong for you tonight?
I mean, I think we played the strategy the best we could. You know, we ended that caution and we restarted on the outside, which obviously wasn't the move. You know, Parker got a few spots ahead of us, and that pretty much determined the race. But, I mean, I think the significant problem that y'all saw on the broadcast here is someone that had nothing to lose. He hasn't done anything in a series this year or the last few years, and, you know, he's holding a grudge on me from the Pro Series where, you know, coincidentally we won this race because we've been the best here the last few years for sure. There's no doubt about it. So he flat drove through us, kind of took our chance away. I was fine with everything I had there at the end, but I mean, we got one more to show what we're made of, and that's probably about it. So, you know, just appreciate the effort from all my Dead Zone Racing guys, Caden Honeycutt, Houston Hammer, Justin Bolton on the box, Platt for spotting this whole year and the last few years. I mean, we worked too hard and put in too much time for races to come down to that and for people to drive us that way. So, you know, we did everything we had to do and did everything right to the point where we were there at the end. So just disappointing.
All right, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us, and look to see you finish out strong at Homestead, Miami, but a great season nonetheless.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that'll wrap up the Sudoku post-race report. Big thanks to those top three drivers for giving us some time post-race to chat and the duality between the highs and the lows. But we have filled out our eNASCAR brackets. Steven Wilson and Parker White, courtesy of Race Wins, and Graham Bolin and Bobby Zelensky, courtesy of Points, will fight for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship this season, and it'll happen in a couple of weeks' time. Steven Wilson making his third career Championship 4 appearance. Bobby Zelensky making his record fifth appearance. Graham Bolin clocks in number 2. And Parker White will make his first career appearance, which is oh so impressive for the driver of the 53 car.
Well, I think it says a lot about this series that, you know, we talk about winning you're in and the importance of, you know, how this format can shake things up and everything with how these wins shake out. Look at the fact that we continue to have so many of the same competitors who are competing for a championship. Steven Wilson yet again. Graham Bolin was at the championship 2 years ago when they debuted the in-person championship. Bobby Zelensky, 6 out of 8. I mean, it's just incredible the consistency that he has had. And it's weird to think of Bobby Zelensky coming in as an underdog in this Championship 4, but we've seen it time and time again on the real-world side of things as well. Joey Logano several years ago, he upset the Championship 4. He has a shot. Graham Bolin, Parker White, and Steven Wilson all carrying a ton of momentum after the last 4 or 5 races they've had.
And if we take a look at those results, again, the notables, Parker White came into tonight above the cut line. He didn't need to win. Points had been the name of the game for him, and he makes a statement first win with his teammate in tow to lock himself through. Salas came in below the cut line. We knew the 11 needed a win. He comes home 3 points shy, and the good start to the round for 6th place finisher Zelensky and 7th place finisher Bolin allowed those top 10 finishes here tonight, Blake, to be good enough for them to qualify.
Great top 10 effort there for Timothy Holmes. How about Malik Ray coming back? Garrett Maines, we talked about the fact there was a target on his car. He ends up 14th tonight. What a resilient effort by him. Michael Guest, same thing. He was wrapped up in a wreck early in the back. He ends up P16. Jonathan Doulady, a good comeback effort. And Matt Busa, he was flipped. How did he end up 20th? I'll have no idea.
He was flipped and had to tow, so he was way down bad in this race. And again, all of the chaos, which hurts other people's nights, can give you a second opportunity. Playoff finishers on this slide include Ottinger 22nd, Lowe 23rd, Duval 27th. Again, we knew that it would be a tall order for those drivers, and it seems like every time we talked about them tonight, it was not good news. In the end, Keegan Leahy is going to be the last driver to finish on the lead lap. He will come home in 34th position. Keister, Alfala, and Luza do not make it scheduled distance. And that leaves with one more race to go as we are back at iRacing's virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. It'll be the 12th time that the track in Miami-Dade County will crown an eNASCAR champion, Blake, and it happens in 3 weeks' time. So 1 extra week off to give those Championship 4 a little bit more prep time. And it'll, of course, fly their way to Charlotte for the live finale.
And this is when the real work starts. Again, if you're one of these Championship 4, you have an opportunity to make life-changing money in this race. So the next 3 weeks, in one way, yes, it's great. They get a little bit of extra prep time, but if I was one of those Championship 4 drivers, these next 3 weeks are going to be agonizing. Every piece of speed that you can find out of this race car, you're going to try to find. Everything about this racetrack, you're going to try to learn. Unlimited testing. We'll see who comes out swinging, who can get some good track position, and who can get the job done at a track that is incredible for hosting a championship race such as this.
And the best part of a live event is, for those who tune in with us every week, we hope to see some of you there with us at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And if you can't join us in person, we hope you join us right here, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Until next time, that is it for us here tonight from Phoenix. I want to say a big thanks on behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, and for everybody involved in tonight's broadcast behind the scenes and for your booth team tonight. For Blake McCandless, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in, and congratulations go to tonight's race winner, Parker White, who is the 69th different winner in series history. That'll be the 17th different driver in series history to qualify for the Championship 4. We're back in 3 weeks' time for one final race on October the 1st at iRacing's virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. The eNASCAR Championship is on the line. We'll see you in Charlotte.